The late-night subway station is empty and silent under dim yellow lights. Lee Yun stands alone on the platform, arms crossed, his eyes betraying the exhaustion and loneliness of waiting for the last train. He adjusts his backpack strap, but his gaze involuntarily drifts toward the figure. The purple-haired girl on the bench looks up, her eyes holding a gentle smile that makes the air feel subtly charged. Her again! Yun sits on the bench, trying to avert his gaze, but a wave of frustration rises from the inexplicable pull he feels towards her. Like an inescapable fate, memories of their countless encounters overlap in his mind. He closes his eyes in exhaustion, leaning against the cold tiled wall, trying to make sense of this sudden connection. In this last train moment, he shares the silence with the guitar-carrying girl. The air is filled with a pale blue hue called fate, signaling the beginning of their story. Fingers tracing the edge of his phone, Yun looks down, a barely noticeable smile curling his lips as his cheeks flush warm with anticipation. On the other side, Haein is wondering who he is when their eyes suddenly meet. Her pupils dilate, her heart skips a beat, and a blush instantly colors her cheeks. Yun snaps back to reality, face burning with shame. Staring like a pervert! He scolds himself internally, desperately insisting that this is just a coincidence. Focusing on his studies is impossible. He rubs his forehead in agitation, deciding to escape into the world of music to calm his chaotic mind. His finger hovers over the familiar Pink Planet cover. Despite some hesitation, he presses play, seeking his only sanctuary dash. Long afternoon. The perfect intro plays, instantly dispelling his anxiety. He closes his eyes in delight, savoring this hidden gem of a melody known only to him, though a trace of loneliness lingers. If only I could share this passion with someone. His brow furrows in confusion as he looks at his phone. Why is the sound so faint? Are the earphones broken? Suddenly, a hand reaches toward his ear. The unexpected touch sends a shiver through him, shattering his musical bubble with a jolt of external reality. His eyes widen in panic, cold sweat trickling down. The purple-haired girl stands right in front of him, her sharp gaze freezing the air, radiating an intense pressure. Can you turn the volume down? Her words strike like lightning. Seeing the unplugged jack in his hand, Yun feels the world crumble. It was playing out loud. Before he can die of embarrassment, her voice suddenly softens. That's long afternoon, isn't it? Do you like this music? I like it too. The words are magic, instantly lighting up Yun's world. He looks up in disbelief, panic transforming into overwhelming joy and wonder. All embarrassment vanishes. He shouts like an excited child. Really? That's incredible. I'm a huge fan. The girl shyly looks down in response. Yun gestures wildly in excitement, having finally found a kindred spirit. The girl agrees quietly, inwardly smiling bitterly at her own lack of fame. He pulls out his phone to show the sparse social media account, rambling passionately about his idol's lack of promotion. Backlit, she listens silently to his complaints about her, feelings swirling. Haein flushes, tentatively asking if an idol should reveal themselves, eyes hiding expectation and restraint. Yun responds gently, their heartbeats sinking over a discussion about anonymity. Yun expresses appreciation for the pure music, causing Haein to lower her gaze, cheeks warming. His words feel less like fan praise, and more like a resonance with her hidden soul. Words catch in his throat as Yun tries to confirm their connection, only to be hit by sudden shame, realizing this coincidence exposes the intense attention he's been hiding. Desperate to hide his staring, he feigns ignorance clumsily. But amidst the roar of the approaching train, Haein's calm remark shatters his crumbling disguise instantly. With an elusive smile, she directly points out his lingering gaze. Yun's pupils quake, struck by lightning as all his mental defenses crumble in an instant. The rainy night's neon blurs into chaotic light as shame floods him. In contrast to his internal storm, Haein stands at the platform edge, unnervingly calm. She knew all along? A silent scream detonates in his mind. The dissonance between reality and perception nearly breaks him as he watches her walk away indifferently. Rain mixes with regret as he clutches his head and wails, painfully realizing his secret crush routine was actually a transparent, awkward monologue to her. The scene shifts to a desperate scream erupting in the cafe. Yeon clutches his head, sending the blue-haired manager rushing over, fearing a catastrophic bad review. Incoherent with panic, he clings to the manager, terrified of being branded a stalker. The manager freezes, sweating, unable to grasp this sudden emotional catastrophe. Hearing the story, a wise smile flickers in the manager's eyes. Arms crossed, she pierces the fog. If she hated it, she would have fled. This means she's interested too. If he were a creep, she would have switched lines. The rational analysis acts like a sedative, calming Yeon's panic and offering a glimmer of hope to his sinking heart. The manager playfully suggests this is the start of a romance drama. Just as pink bubbles float in Yeon's mind, insecurity bursts them. He tries to retreat, but she pushes again. The cheerful mood drops abruptly as Yeon lowers his head. Crushed by life's burdens, he admits his reality. Barely surviving, he feels unworthy of romance. He lists school and rent to justify himself, but the manager cuts him off. Isn't that how a crush starts? Exposed, Yeon bristles instantly, denying it frantically. Denial softens into gentle compromise as he shyly imagines being friends who talk music. The manager watches his innocence, a knowing, motherly smile spreading across her face. Overloaded with embarrassment, steam practically rises from Yeon's head as he begs for mercy. The manager laughs, snapping them back to reality. Order up. Work instantly dispels the romantic haze. Night falls, leaving him solitary on the busy street. Yeon paces under the streetlights, rehearsing their reunion in his mind. Is she there? Or has she already gone? Taking a deep breath, he clenches his fist to psych himself up, apologize, explain, and talk about their secret idol. But after the adrenaline fades, deep insecurity washes over him. I hope she thinks the same. The prayer vanishes into the night wind. The scene shifts to him fast asleep on the table, exhausted, perhaps dreaming of that purple-haired silhouette. Yeon rushes in, only to freeze in his tracks. Their bench is occupied by a stranger snoring loudly, obliterating his plan. His perfect plan shatters, leaving him screaming internally. Before he can regroup, a cool gaze pierces through him. The purple-haired girl has noticed his panic. Withered by her gaze, Yeon retreats into his notebook, feigning study. He stands stiffly, trying to shrink into invisibility to avoid being labeled a creep. Just as he resigns himself to walking away, a voice cuts through the silence. Are you really going to keep standing there? Yeon jerks his head up like a startled rabbit, cheeks burning. He stammers, pointing to the occupied bench. Ah, well, there are no seats left. A playful smile dances on her lips as she pats the empty space beside her. What are you talking about? There's a seat right here. Sit for a bit. Her gentle invitation melts his defenses. He sinks into the seat, his heartbeat louder than the distant train. End of Chapter 1. Scanlation recruitment page displayed. The story is about to enter a new chapter. Another night awaiting the last train. Haein is lost in her world with her base, while Yeon stands back, his gaze magnetized to her silhouette. Memories of their dreamlike proximity flash through his mind, but he shakes his head bitterly. That was then. Now, the distance feels infinite again. He sits, but maintains a calculated, psychological safety distance. He warns himself, just 1 second, do not cross the line. Late again tonight? Her sudden question nearly makes him jump. He scrambles to explain his part-time bar job, trying to mask his frazzled nerves. Her empathy for his exhausted life warms his chest. Touched, he gathers the courage to ask back. And you? Are you coming from work too? No, Haein smirks. I just like hanging out with guys who have hardcore, specific tastes. The words detonate in Yeon's brain like a bomb. Just as Yeon's mind spirals into forbidden thoughts, Haein bursts into laughter, pointing to a sign. Hardcore, referred to the music studio next door. As she explains it's a rental space for office bands, Yeon wishes the ground would swallow him whole. His imagination had run completely wild. "You didn't think of something weird, did you?" Under her teasing gaze, Yeon waves his hands frantically, face turning tomato red. "No! I swear!" The laughter fades into gentle curiosity. Propping her chin, Haein asks, "You're so busy. How did you find an underground artist like Long Afternoon?" Yeon's gaze softens as he drifts back to that lonely night. "I wasn't looking for it. It was by chance. I had a bad cold, curled up alone. The silence was suffocating. I just needed some noise to fill the void. I clicked on Dark Planet randomly, and in that moment, I found him." Yeon's voice echoes, sharing how he initially fell for the melody, only to find deeper resonance in the lyrics. The memory shifts to lonely nights where Let It Be soothed the soul on the verge of giving up. When asked for her favorite track, Haein touches her ear, hiding her inner stirrings. She whispers Dark Planet, sharing a secret only the creator herself would truly understand. Mentioning tidal flow, Yeon's eyes light up the platform. As he excitedly mimics the rhythm changes, Haein lowers her head, cheeks burning, silently basking in this pure, unreserved praise. The roar of the train shatters the peace, a cruel reminder of passing time. Yeon is shocked by how fast the moment flew, while Haein clutches her warmth, a trace of reluctance in her eyes. Just before parting, Haein stops. With her back to him, her voice is soft but certain. "About what you said. If Long Afternoon heard that, they would be over the moon." Yeon's heart pounds, not to force a romance, but simply to prolong this soul connection. Taking a deep breath, he summons the courage to solemnly introduce himself in these final seconds. "What is your name?" he asks before the doors seal. The purple-haired girl turns back, leaving the name that will etch into his heart, Shin Haein, amidst the station's wind. A smile plays on her lips as she leaves a bossy yet sweet promise. Speak up next time, or be ignored forever. Yeon stands frozen, blushing to his ears, fireworks exploding in his heart. The train speeds away, taking the purple figure, but leaving behind infinite anticipation. City lights dim, noise fades to silence, leaving only his racing heartbeat echoing in the empty hallway. Back in her sanctuary, Haein finally lets her guard down. She stretches lazily, letting exhaustion wash over her before sinking deep into the soft bed with a satisfied sigh. Her mind drifts back to the ride home, the boy named Lee Yeon occupying her thoughts. But before that, a scene on the subway had nearly made her mistake him for someone unsavory. Back then, the drunkard snored loudly as a black wallet slipped to the floor. Haein watched coldly as the figure bent down, suspicion rising. Is he a thief seizing the moment? Unexpectedly, the hand didn't pocket the wallet but clumsily stuffed it back into the drunkard's coat. Haein was stunned. This suspicious guy was actually foolishly innocent. True kindness doesn't hesitate. Lying in bed, Haein reflects on that moment. That seemingly serious and stiff figure actually hides a heart softer than anyone's. Not just a do-gooder, but her most devoted believer. Imagining him fist-pumping for Long Afternoon, Haein can't help but chuckle. This fate is simply indescribable. The smile fades, replaced by rising insecurity. If they met in reality, stripped of the idol's halo, would that innocent boy still like the real, broken Shin Haein? Shadows from deep memory attack, painting the world a suffocating crimson. Cold stares and twisted smiles, the terror of once being swallowed by malice rush over her like a tide. Keyboard taps rain down like a storm, each click a hammer blow to her nerves. Suffocating in endless malicious comments, her pupils tremble, teetering on the edge of the abyss again. Enough. She clenches her fist, dispelling the nightmare. Taking a deep breath as cold sweat drips, she forces clarity. Ultimately, fans like him just love the pure music. Gazing at the celebrated virtual avatar on screen, she finally finds peace. Let the persona bear the spotlight and judgment. For now, she is content being just an ordinary girl named Shin Haein. Back in her sanctuary, Haein finds peace. Lying beside her virtual avatar, the inner conflict fades. As long as she creates the music she loves, nothing else matters. A quiet moment of self-acceptance. Meanwhile, in the quiet studio, Heian shifts into creator mode. Staring at the vibrant cartoon avatar on her tablet, her finger hovers, hesitating to share a piece of her soul with the world. Duty calls at the front desk. A customer books his next session, then leans in with a blush, asking for her number. The professional atmosphere instantly thickens with awkward tension. "No can do." Heian's rejection is swift, leaving the guy groaning in embarrassment. Shaking off the awkwardness, she grabs the cleaning gear, eager to bury the moment in work. Familiar footsteps interrupt her cleaning. It's her uncle and boss, Hyun-sung. He arrives with a mischievous grin, clearly having witnessed the rejection scene and ready to tease. Heian defends herself. It's not just the phone calls, but the musical mismatch. Seeing her seriousness, her uncle drops the teasing and delivers good news. The next session is cancelled. She's free to go. This pumping with joy, Heian plans her evening of songwriting. But just as she heads out, her uncle stops her, handing over a fancy paper bag, a surprise treat for his niece. "Happy White Day!" It's trendy caramel. Though Heian awkwardly excuses herself to practice guitar to hide her feelings, the uncle's thoughtful gesture adds a touch of sweetness to the night. Leaving the warmth of the studio, Heian steps into the night. The subway station's chill contrasts with the earlier cheer. Exhaustion sets in as she slumps onto a bench, letting out a heavy sigh. It turns out Lee Yeon is there, struggling with vocabulary flashcards. Heian's greeting makes him jump. An unexpected reunion in a quiet corner of the city, sparks of surprise flying between them. Yeon spots the glowing gift box. "Someone gave it to me," Heian says casually. His heart sinks. Seeing her brilliance, a bitter wave of insecurity washes over him. Of course, she's popular. Noticing his fatigue, Heian generously offers the caramel. Yeon tries to resist the sweet treat, stung by jealousy, but her firm yet gentle persistence breaks down his defenses. "My uncle gave it to me." With those words, Yeon is pulled from emotional hell to heaven. His face explodes in red, earlier jealousy instantly transforming into flustered relief and embarrassment. Misunderstanding cleared, the box no longer feels heavy. Under Heian's expectant gaze, Yeon carefully picks one up. It's more than just tasting caramel. It's the warming of their bond after a sweet mistake. Fumbling with excuses about sticky hands, Yeon hesitates. Heian laughs, offering to help. Caught in a playful tug-of-war, the air fills with romantic tension as he blushes, ready to accept the treat. The moment it hits his tongue, sweetness explodes. Yeon's eyes widen, struck by a sensory lightning bolt. The overwhelming sugar rush sends his composure flying out the window. "It's too sweet." Yeon's exaggerated reaction has Heian doubling over with laughter. They share a look on the bench, barriers dissolving into pure, unadulterated joy. Laughter still echoes in his mind as the scene shifts to his quiet bedroom. Yeon lies there, savoring the memory, until a sharp notification sound from his phone pierces the silence. Morning light breaks, and a groggy Yeon wakes up. Spotting the caramel box on his desk, memories of last night flood back. He pops one into his mouth, starting the day with a lingering taste of sweetness. Sugar rush kicking in, Yeon opens his laptop with renewed energy. But suddenly, a notification pings. The scene cuts to Heian's face. Frozen in shock, a silent storm is about to break. 6:45 a.m. The phone buzzes, shattering the silence. A notification from long afternoon. Sleep vanishes instantly as Yeon's heart skips a beat, a surprise that kickstarts his day. Fueled by this excitement, Yeon breezes through his shift. He moves behind the counter with a spring in his step, calling out order numbers with a smile warmer than the coffee he serves. During a lull, he can't help but share the news. My favorite artist posted. Stars practically dance in his eyes, treating it like a world event, leaving his coworker utterly bewildered. Just imagining it keeps me up at night. Hearing this, the senior raises an eyebrow. In love? Yeon denies it frantically, but his gaze dims. No. Besides, I haven't seen her lately. You know each other's names, and even exchanged White Day gifts. You call that nothing? The senior's sharp analysis makes Hyeon blush furiously, his mind flooded with images of her. Just as the senior expects a romantic follow-up, Hyeon props his chin up with a satisfied grin. Nope, that's it. The senior facepalms, utterly exasperated by this hopeless romantic. Jokes aside, work continues. A mysterious customer in a bucket hat approaches. Strangely, he seems particularly interested in Hyeon, sparking a wave of nervous curiosity. He looks so familiar. Hyeon mutters, staring at the customer's back. As the man turns, recognition strikes like lightning. It's the famous indie artist, Sung Hyun Jae. You come here often? Finding out his idol is irregular leaves Hyeon stammering. As Hyun Jae accepts the coffee with a smile, Hyeon screams internally. Lady Luck is smiling on him today. Night falls as Hyun Jae returns to his car. Instead of driving off, he plays in the tide. Staring at the name Long Afternoon on the screen, he sinks into deep thought. While Hyun Jae debates making contact, on the other side of the city, a freshly off-duty Hyeon rushes to the subway station, heart pounding. Will I see Haein today? He plays out 100 reunion scenarios in his head, discussing the new song, hearing her thoughts. But when he steps onto the platform, he is greeted only by cold tiles and empty tracks. Empty again. Standing alone on the dimly lit platform, insecurity floods in like a tide. Did he do something wrong last time? Is she avoiding him? Just as his shoulders slump, a familiar voice cuts through. Why the heavy sigh? Hyeon spins around to find Haein smiling at him. In an instant, the gloom evaporates. But Haein seems different today, eyes misty, cheeks flushed. Hyeon asks cautiously, are you drunk? She admits it openly, her tone unusually languid and playful. Celebrating a little secret, Haein whispers playfully. Seeing her so unguardedly cute, Hyeon's heart takes a critical hit. He screams internally, this is too dangerous. Just as Hyeon tries to bring up the new song, the train announcement interrupts. Is their time up already? Panic sets in. He can't let it end like this, not yet. I don't want it to end. Impulse overrides reason. As the train screeches to a halt, Hyeon summons every ounce of courage and shouts, do you want to go grab a drink with me? The air freezes. Haein turns back, eyes wide with disbelief. Hyeon stands paralyzed. Did he really just say that? The moment hangs in suspense. Under the neon lights, two hearts draw closer to the rhythm of the last train. This isn't just an invitation, it's the breaking of boundaries, leading into a secret rose-colored summer night. Racked with self-doubt on the train, he fears looking like a fool. But stepping onto the street, he extends a fist, and as they bump knuckles, anxiety dissolves into the spark of a new beginning. Panic sets in immediately as he stammers an apology, terrified he overstepped. But instead of rejection, he finds her blushing and smiling, hinting that tonight, the air feels different. On the platform, Haein's gaze is unwavering as she admits she isn't ready to say goodbye. Her bold suggestion for one more drink leaves Hyeon flushed and breathless, his heart skipping a beat. In the empty carriage, the air feels thick with unspoken tension. Hyeon crosses his arms to hide his racing heart, while beside him, Haein suppresses a smile, basking in the awkward intimacy. With every jolt of the train, their shoulders brush, sending electric shocks through him. He chastises himself for reacting like a lovesick teenager, yet he can't stop his pulse from racing at the contact. Trying to regain composure, he clumsily asks about her commute home. When she decisively chooses a spot near his station, the romantic tension subtly ratchets up another notch. Haein brushes her hair back, playfully asserting her adulthood. Yet Hyeon, blushing furiously, insists on covering her fare, his clumsy chivalry adding a layer of sweetness to the moment. She leans in, a mischievous glint in her eyes, teasing that he must care for her if she gets drunk. The suggestive remark short-circuits his brain, leaving him completely flustered. Then comes the bombshell: she claims she sleeps naked. Hyeon's face explodes into crimson shock, his eyes widening in terror as the playful little devil delights in his reaction. It was just a joke. As the announcement chimes, reality returns on the quiet street corner. The laughter fades, but the residual heat of her teasing lingers in the silent night air. Learning his studio apartment is just 5 minutes away, a flicker of anticipation crosses Heian's eyes. Yuan, flustered, quickly points toward a distant bar, trying to steer them back to safer, public ground. Just as he confidently takes the lead and she voices her trust, fate intervenes. The cold, unyielding close sign instantly shatters their perfect plan. Mortified, Yuan scratches his head, apologizing profusely for the blunder. Heian offers a gentle, reassuring smile, but her kindness only amplifies his frustration at his own lack of preparation. He frantically refreshes the map on his phone, cold sweat trickling down his neck. With the internet lagging and panic rising, he spirals what if he can't find a spot, or worse, takes her somewhere terrible. Just as Yuan fears he's ruined their night, Heian breaks the silence. Watching his desperation, she smiles and proposes the only logical and most dangerous solution. Your apartment. The words hit him like a thunderclap. Yuan stares at her in sheer terror, gripping his phone as his inner voice screams in denial this absolutely cannot be happening. Despite his internal protests, the door clicks shut. Heian steps into his private sanctuary like a curious cat, praising its tidiness, while Yuan stands frozen in the background, utterly paralyzed. Yuan silently thanks his past self for the manic cleaning spree last week. But just as he begins to relax, Heian turns and drops the ultimate question. Do you have a girlfriend? The question catches him completely off guard. Staring at her perched on his sofa, he stammers, his mind racing to figure out if this is another one of her teasing traps. She admits she doesn't want to be an intruder, her vulnerability sobering the mood. Desperate to reassure her, Yuan clutches his chest and swears with absolute sincerity that he is, indeed, single. Alcohol loosens Heian's guard as she laughs in relief, but her gaze suddenly sharpens. She cuts to the chase, asking about Yuan's relationship status. Tensing up and gripping his collar, Yuan drops a bombshell in a low voice. I have someone. The air freezes. Heian calmly introduces Liam, a man good at singing and fighting. Yuan's pupils quake, mistaking him for her boyfriend. His heart plunges into a moral struggle. Is the tension between them a mistake? Seeing Yuan thunderstruck, Heian bursts into laughter, her seriousness dissolving instantly. She playfully admits it was a lie, enjoying the tease. Sweating profusely, Yuan snaps out of his panic, letting out a heavy sigh of embarrassment and relief. The ex turns out to be the lead singer of Oasis. Heian thought the joke was obvious, but Yuan is clueless about rock trivia. Seeing him still shaken, she apologizes sheepishly, while Yuan struggles to calm his racing heart. Misunderstanding cleared, Yuan cautiously opens a blue beer, worried he overstepped. Heian offers a gentle toast to break the ice. Under the warm light, alcohol draws their hearts closer, hinting that something significant is about to unfold tonight. No one will get hurt. Heian's words soothe him. Beer cans clink crisply in the shimmering light. Emboldened by alcohol, Yuan shyly, but firmly clarifies he's truly single. Trust flows between them, thickening the romantic tension. Suddenly, Yuan screams at his phone, shattering the calm. Leaping up like he's discovered a new world, eyes burning with fanatic fire. He points at the screen, yelling, I knew this was a clue. Fanboy mode activated. Yuan frantically analyzes a blurry illustration, swearing Long Afternoon will release a song in April with specific instruments. Heian sits there, sweating awkwardly as she watches him overinterpret her own work. Lost in ecstasy, Yuan misses her awkwardness completely. He rushes at Heian, eyes starry, forcing a shared moment. Aren't you excited too, Heian? Heian panics internally. That wasn't what I meant at all. To protect her identity, Heian forces a smile, mentally scrambling to see if she needs a distribution deal to make his theory true. Suddenly, Yuan quiets down, leaning in with a blush and serious tone. Actually, your voice sounds just like hers. Heian's heart skips a beat, fearing exposure. But Yuan grins triumphantly and adds, of course, long afternoon's voice is brighter. Heian freezes relieved, yet strangely disappointed and shocked by the unintentional diss. Yuan realizes he's rambled and scratches his head sheepishly. But Heian gazes at him gently, confessing that watching him talk about what he loves is comforting much better than getting tangible and complicated feelings. The air softens again. Feel free to talk then. Yuan's acceptance gives Heian courage. Head down and emboldened by alcohol, a bold thought sprouts in her mind. Under the dim light, her silhouette looks lonely yet yearning for connection. Heian suddenly lies back on the bed, looking sultry and hazy-eyed, saying she just wants to listen. This instantly shatters Yuan's defenses. Blushing furiously, he tries to halt this dangerous seduction. Hey, that won't work. I'll fall asleep. Heian's voice grows faint and teasing. Yuan sits on the floor, bewildered, while Heian rests her chin on her arms, flashing a lethal, sweet smile. Her eyes sparkle with anticipation, waiting for something. Just when Yuan thinks she's drifting off, Heian drops a bombshell. Can I sleep at your house, Yuan? Time stops. All that remains is Yuan's dilated pupils, and the romantic tension exploding in the silence. A new chapter begins with Heian shining on the cover. But the scene shifts to reality. She lies exhausted on a table, revealing the fragility and loneliness hidden behind the stage, as if waiting for the one person who lets her truly rest. Back to that heart-pounding night. Yuan can't believe his ears, trying to mask his panic with a joke. You're kidding, right? Don't tease me like that. He desperately tries to hold his last line of defense. Heian doesn't back down. Gazing straight into his eyes, she gently but firmly places the choice in his hands. Joke or serious, isn't that up to you? If you say stay, then it's serious. The tables turn. Yuan has nowhere left to run. Caught between a joke and the truth, Yuan's heart struggles violently as he weighs Heian's ambiguous question. Emotion wins over reason. Hearing his decision to stay, Heian's eyes curve into a childlike smile of pure satisfaction. The cozy mood shatters instantly. As Heian unbuttons her pants, Yuan covers his eyes in sheer panic, screaming. It was just to relieve the bloating from the beer. Yuan collapses in relief, cold sweat dripping, trying to calm his racing heart. To break the awkwardness, he shyly offers his tracksuit, only to be met with a teasing click of the tongue from Heian. The last beer is gone, but the night isn't. Yuan offers to buy more, and Heian's expectant gaze instantly lights up the dim room. Before leaving, Yuan acts like a worried housekeeper, asking if she needs anything else, trying to hide the flutter in his heart. Heian stops him. Backlit and hesitant, she softly asks him to pick up a special item on his way. It's almost that time. Heian's shy hint makes Yuan blush instantly. He nods solemnly, unaware he's walking into a massive misunderstanding. In the convenience store, Yuan is lost before the shelves. Uncharted territory leaves him bewildered. What exactly is that thing? Scanning the shelves, his gaze locks onto a box with a heart pattern, and a thunderbolt of realization strikes his mind. Could it be condoms? The insane thought takes root and spreads like wildfire through Yuan's mind. He waves his hands frantically, trying to dispel the shameful thought, blushing furiously as he melts down alone in the late-night store. Squatting before the shelf, the red box burns his hand. He fights not just desire, but the humble self terrified of being rejected again. Recalling the heart-fluttering moment at the platform, Yuan grips the box tightly. This love is too precious. He can't resist any chance to be closer to her. Even with weak knees and a heart about to burst, he surrenders to the wild imagination and buys the pink box. Bursting through the door with determination, the romantic scene he imagined is missing. Only silence greets him. The girl who caused such chaos in his heart is curled up on the sofa, fallen into a defenseless, deep sleep. All turmoil settles the moment he sees her sleeping face. Yuan approaches cautiously, whispering her name, afraid to break the peace. Intending to cover her with a blanket, he's bewitched by her blush. The distance vanishes, and the air of ambiguity explodes between their lips. Positions flip in a heartbeat. Her startled cry fades as she looks up, panic melting into a shy, fluttering admiration for the man above her. Time freezes, leaving only the deafening thud of heartbeats. His face burns crimson, overwhelmed by the intoxicating tenderness of her gentle touch. Is she sleepwalking? Before he can react, she drifts back to sleep with a contented smile, leaving him stranded in a storm of confusion and desire. Memories crackle like electricity. As he dresses, the ghost of her warm breath lingers, a lethal temptation that even the alcohol couldn't drown out. Tossing in the dark, he knows the truth. If she had held him then, the dam of his reason would have shattered completely under the flood of desire. Morning light pierces the dream. A splitting headache and a stiff-necked scream in protest, the brutal price of a night spent sleeping on the sofa. The silence is deafening. Where is Hayan? The empty living room jolts him awake, a creeping anxiety tightening its grip on his chest. She left a sweet note and cleaned up, but as his gaze hits the floor, his blood runs cold. There, staring back at him, is the one thing she shouldn't have seen. The damning red heart on the box mocks him. Fragments of memory explode like thunder. Oh God, what exactly did I do last night? Shame floods back. He remembers standing in the aisle, fighting a losing battle between reason and a reckless, delusional hope as he reached for the box. What if, at the checkout, fueled by adrenaline and fantasy, he had actually prepared for a miracle that existed only in his wild imagination? It's over. She definitely saw it. Crumpled on the floor, he wants to vanish. She must think he's a pervert plotting a one-night stand. A silent scream tears through him. It's total social suicide. Drowning in shame, how can he ever face the girl who trusted him as a friend? Dragging his heavy feet, he approaches her. He tries to force a casual smile, but the air is thick with suffocating awkwardness. But she looks up, eyes free of judgment, holding only a gentle calm. Hello, Yoon. Her unexpected warmth only sends his heart into a deeper panic. No more running. He takes a deep breath, eyes hardening with resolve. Even if it means social execution, he has to break this unbearable silence. Side by side on the subway bench, the silence is deafening. Yuan's mind races. Lie? Explain? Or invent an excuse to flee this living nightmare? It was for school. Market research. Panic drives ridiculous lies from his mouth. He waves his hands frantically, acting like a desperate clown. I mistook it for vitamins. He freezes. It's pathetic. Even a child wouldn't buy that, and lying is only digging his grave deeper. Enough. Better to be honest and face the music. He bows his head, ready to confess. Hayan, the truth is. But suddenly, she cuts in. The air in the tight space freezes. Just as Yuan tries to speak, Hayan cuts through the silence. Her eyes downcast, her voice calm yet devastating. I think it's better if we keep some distance. The words shatter Yuan's composure, leaving him wide-eyed and sweating profusely. Hayan rests her chin in her hand, her tone laced with resignation. I feel absolutely no tension when I'm with you, and that's dangerous. Hayan's mind drifts back to that night of alcohol and music. She recalls playing guitar with reckless abandon, realizing now that her relaxed guard had quietly crossed a line she shouldn't have. Seeing Hayan's hesitation, Yuan's fear festers. The moment she mentions distance, again, his nerves snap, and he blurts out in sheer panic. Is this about the condoms I bought? As Yuan frantically clutches his chest to explain, Hayan pauses. Then, a mischievous smile creeps onto her face as realization hits. Ah, so that's what's been bothering you all this time. Inside the subway car, Yuan wants the ground to swallow him whole. Hayan, however, teases him effortlessly. We're adults, and the mood was right. It's normal, though I didn't expect you to see that night as something so casual. I swear I didn't have any impure intentions. Yuan defends himself frantically. Hayan bursts into laughter, waving her hand. That's not what I meant by crossing the line at all. Yuan freezes, completely baffled. Seeing Yuan's confusion, Heian's smile fades as her hair shadows her face. Her voice drops, heavy with self-loathing. It's because I was absolutely unbearable that night. She bites her sleeve in shame, unable to even look at Yuan. Unbearable? He asks, perplexed. Heian buries her face in her hands. Just think back to everything I did that night. The memories come crashing back, drunkenly barging into a house, borrowing clothes like she owned them, and hogging the host's bed while he slept on the sofa. Every scene makes present-day Heian want to die of embarrassment. Yuan finally realizes what she means and lets out an awkward chuckle. Heian curls up into a ball, hugging her knees, her voice muffled. I felt so guilty when I woke up that I ran away without saying goodbye. I'm really sorry. Looking at the girl curled up before him, Yuan feels a striking contrast. The Heian who always seemed so confident and tough now looks so vulnerable. He reaches out gently, a strange flutter rising in his chest. You never used to care what others thought. Yuan gazes at her flushed profile, his eyes softening. But seeing you so flustered, apologizing so awkwardly, actually makes me feel that it's incredibly cute. Yuan turns his back, shoulders shaking violently, as he struggles to suppress his laughter. Heian stares at his odd reaction, completely baffled. Why are you shaking? Before the laughter can settle, Heian falls back into worry. Anyway, to avoid doing anything stupid again, I should probably stay away from this station. She turns to leave, as if truly ready to draw a line. Absolutely not. Yuan screams, his voice echoing through the empty station. He stares at Heian, his eyes filled with panic and resistance, refusing to accept her disappearing from his world. Heian, startled by his shout, freezes. Why not? Yuan waves his hands frantically, stammering out an excuse. Because Long Afternoon might release a new song. I need someone to talk to about it. The excuse fades into silence. Yuan lowers his head, his voice soft but firm. Especially with you. Heian's heart flutters, but she hesitates. But if I stay close, what if I get drunk and do something stupid again? It doesn't matter. Yuan raises his voice again, pressing his hand against his chest as if taking an oath. Everything you think is embarrassing. I can handle it all. Leave it to me. Weird jokes, drunken madness, I accept it all. He turns to her, his eyes burning with sincere pleading. So, please don't leave. Seeing his clumsy yet passionate resolve, a blush quietly spreads across Heian's cheeks. As the announcement for the next train echoes, the emotional storm finally settles. Heian smiles, making a promise about snacks, while Yuan quietly confirms in his heart their next meeting is a certainty. Faced with Heian's playful request, Yuan's joy practically overflows, his deal ringing out loud and clear. Seeing his childlike, radiant smile, Heian's heart flutters, and a shy blush creeps up her cheeks. The warm atmosphere shatters instantly with the phrase, "Keep that thing you bought safe." Yuan's mind sounds the alarm, eyes widening in terror. Does she mean that? That unmentionable rubber product? In his rain-soaked imagination, Yuan even visualizes that heart-shaped box, suffocating in shame. But Heian's breezy clarification, the beer, obviously instantly drops him from a thriller into a comedy. Meanwhile, at the end of a silent corridor, Heian peeks out like an agent completing a mission. Behind her forced composure lingers the aftertaste of their conversation. Back in the safety of her room, her tense nerves finally unravel. Heian sheds her coat and clutches her head, washed over by the relief of survival. Thank God, he isn't mad. He doesn't hate this messy version of me. Tears well up as she recalls Yuan's gentle touch and accepting words. The moments of being forgiven flow like warmth through her veins, melting her heart completely. But the touching sentiment lasts only 3 seconds before a tsunami of cringe hits. Heian thrashes on the bed, wishing to bury herself in the pillow. Who on earth was that babbling pervert just now? Exhausted from flailing, she hugs the pillow and slips into a dangerous daydream. If she hadn't passed out drunk that night, in that charged atmosphere, would something else have happened? Once the thought takes root, it's unstoppable. She tosses and turns, body burning, as shyness and regret weave a net that traps her in sleeplessness. Arg! What the hell am I thinking? Heian springs up, despairing at her own dirty mind. She forces herself to the desk shower. Compose. She must stop these wild thoughts immediately. Just as she tries to distract herself with work, her phone vibrates. Expecting a normal notification, she finds a DM instead. Her pupils dilate instantly, confusion shifting into shock. After repeatedly verifying it's not a fake account, Heian can barely hold her phone. The Sung Hyunjae, the legendary producer, is actively inviting her. I want to collaborate. The world seems to freeze in this moment. Night falls, and the city lights flicker on. Carrying her guitar, Heian walks the streets alone, hiding her tangled thoughts in the darkness as she heads toward her sanctuary of music. Through the rain-streaked glass, a lonely melody flows from the practice room. Heian immerses herself in the guitar. In that moment, the world's noise is walled off by the rain, leaving only the dialogue between fingertips and strings. As the final note fades, a slight tremor runs through her fingers. She lets out a long sigh and leans forward, the exhaustion from hours of playing finally overtaking her focus. But putting down the guitar doesn't lift the weight off her heart. The unreplied DM sits like a thorn. Sung Hyunjae's name circles in her mind, bringing not just opportunity, but immense pressure. The invitation on the screen weighs a ton. She hesitates, craving that stage yet terrified her talent won't uphold the expectation. If she doesn't reply, does it mean she's running away? Just as she spirals into indecision, a rapid knock shatters the silence. The door flies open, and a shout yanks her violently from her anxiety back to reality. Under the studio lights, her uncle watches with concern as Heian finally rests her guitar, deciding to call it a night. How about some Helltech Baki? Her uncle flashes a rock sign, while Heian hesitates, a drop of sweat betraying her fear of the spice. Hesitation vanishes in a high five of agreement, and soon the table is filled with a steaming hot pot, the ultimate comfort food. Her uncle devours the meal, claiming spice kills stress, but Heian sits quietly, her mind drifting far away from the delicious food. Chopsticks hovering, Heian lowers her gaze, her silence growing heavy as she wrestles with an internal decision. She stares at her food to hide her hesitation, while her uncle mistakes her silence for a complaint about the spice level, creating an awkward comedy. Actually, yesterday. Swallowing a bite, Heian finally gathers the courage to cut through the small talk and address the real issue. Flashback to the bombshell famous musician Sung Hyunjae asked for a collaboration. Heian's face still freezes in utter disbelief. A massive opportunity brings massive doubt. Heian's hand trembles around her pen, feeling the offer is too sudden to be real. A vision of sharing the stage with the superstar flashes in her mind, dazzling starlight that brings an overwhelming sense of pressure and insignificance. Are you worried about being recognized? Her uncle strikes at the heart of her anxiety, and Heian lowers her head, confronting her deepest fear. Her uncle grips his cup, screaming internally, "Rock on regardless," but swallows the words upon seeing his niece's fragile state. Shadows of the past descend. He knows all too well how childhood trauma still lingers like a phantom pain in his little Heian's heart. Tears well up as helplessness washes over him. He knows those invisible wounds have never truly healed. Just as he drowns in sorrowful prayers, Heian suddenly wails the guitar pedal she wanted has been sold out. Sorrow vanishes instantly. Her uncle offers serious advice. Why not meet him? As a fellow musician, he might understand your struggle. Even without collaboration, it's a chance to connect. Heian stirs her drink, her resistance slowly giving way to contemplation. Suddenly, her uncle flips to fanboy mode, demanding an autograph for studio promotion, leaving Heian staring in utter disgust as the touching moment shatters. The night deepens, the noise fades. Heian walks alone down the chilly street, the city lights casting long shadows on her conflicted figure. She clutches her forehead in frustration. The whole day wasted in hesitation, her music plans ruined, making every step feel heavy with regret. Walking through the cold corridor, Heian is captivated by a vibrant billboard. Gazing at the confident, radiant smile, she pauses, a flicker of longing for such perfection rising within her. Her thoughts pull her into deeper darkness, standing before a wall of glowing green eyes. As every screen scrutinizes her coldly, she wonders, how do the stars she admires survive under such constant surveillance? Pressure spreads, like a spiderweb across her mind, suffocating her under endless judgment. How much courage does it take to stay true to oneself and survive the crushing weight of public scrutiny? Suddenly, the image of that boy with the radiant smile floods her mind. If only she could borrow even a fraction of his fearless warmth and courage, perhaps everything would be different. Lost in thought, a warm hand on her shoulder snaps her back to reality. Yuan appears, like a burst of sunshine, calling her name with pure delight, leaving her momentarily stunned. Watching Yuan excitedly wave a green folder, a drop of sweat trickles down Heian's temple. Still reeling from his sudden enthusiasm, her eyes are filled with confusion and lingering surprise. Turns out that radiant smile was just expression practice for interviews. As Heian takes the brochure, her gaze lingers on his earnest profile, her heart skipping a beat as heat rises to her cheeks. Scanning the dense interview requirements, their conversation turns to the heavy reality of adulthood. As Yuan bluntly complains about the tedious rules, Heian looks at him with a shared sense of resigned understanding. An idea strikes, clearing the gloom from her eyes, as a mysterious smile plays on her lips. Want to try some special training? She suggests, making Yuan cross his arms in instant weariness. Switching instantly into mentor mode, she stands up confidently and commands, "Speak without avoiding the interviewer's gaze." Yuan freezes in his seat, unable to keep up with her sudden shift. Right here? Yuan questions, but Heian is undeterred. She transforms the noisy subway station into a makeshift arena, initiating a game of eye contact right then and there. She leans in close, her gaze burning with intensity. Got it? Yuan's face flushes crimson as he glances around the busy platform, wishing the ground would swallow him up in his embarrassment. Seeing no one nearby, Yuan reluctantly agrees. Giving him no chance to back out, Heian kneels on the bench, instantly assuming the role of interviewer and declaring the training open. The atmosphere tightens instantly. Heian's eyes glint with mischief as she locks onto him like a predator. Yuan clenches his fists, holding his breath in sheer nervousness, as if facing a life-or-death exam. But in a split second, Yuan's gaze shifts, shedding all panic for a rare, serious expression. Heian pauses, stunned by the sudden maturity of the boy before her, a strange flutter rising in her chest. It's a face she's never seen before, calm, focused, giving his all for his dream. In this moment, Yuan is no longer just a shy fan, but a man fighting his own battle against the world. Watching his straight back, Heian feels a certainty rise within her. When he walks into that interview room with such resolve, even this harsh world will be moved by his sincerity and effort. Lost in a daydream of seeing him in a suit, Yuan's voice suddenly pops her pink bubble. Ah! Heian snaps back to reality, her face burning red as she frantically tries to hide her wandering thoughts. Flustered and trying to cover her embarrassment, she blurts out an explosive question. So, when was the last time you kissed? The air freezes, and Yuan's jaw practically hits the floor in shock. What kind of company asks that? Yuan screams in disbelief. Heian stubbornly argues it's crisis management training. Their flustered bickering echoes through the station, the tension peaking in a chaotic mix of romance and awkwardness. A shouting match erupts, Yuan's roar masking his insecurity. Heian smirks coldly, her words about having no future piercing the air before she sinks into a heavy, suffocating silence. The air chills instantly. Instead of leaving, Heian hands over cash, attempting to end this interview with a cold transaction. Yuan freezes, his eyes a mix of shock and stung pride. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. She offers a purple guitar pick instead of money, not a transaction, but a musician's personal talisman, leaving Yuan completely bewildered. Heian's gaze softens as she explains the pick holds her energy. Her sincere wish for his success acts like a warm current, instantly melting the previous tension. Clutching the inscribed pick, Yeon feels a tremor in his heart. He looks up, gratitude flooding his eyes, sealing a pure, unspoken bond between fan and idol. Yeon clenches his fist, vowing to carry this charm. Behind him, seeing his sudden determination, Haeun's cheeks flush pink, a quiet, undeniable signal of affection. The scene shifts to playful banter on the platform. Haeun teases him about his flaring nostrils, their laughter echoing the comfort and intimacy growing between them. The scene cuts to a late-night studio across the city. A lone figure sits immersed in a sea of audio tracks, face illuminated only by the soft glow of the monitor. A sharp ding pierces the silence. The producer adjusts his glasses, shifting focus from the sequencer, the notification sound hinting at an anticipated twist. The message on the screen is brief and restrained. "I'll think about it after the interview." He stares at the text, fingers pausing in midair, lost in thought. Reading the insistence on an interview first, the producer's intrigue deepens. This unique, principled approach from Long Afternoon is exactly what he's been looking for. A new chapter begins. Under the night sky, the purple-haired girl stands with her guitar, eyes holding untold stories. Her melody is about to resonate through the city. Arriving at the destination, Haeun stands before the imposing glass facade. Her tight grip on her phone betrays her nerves. This is the coordinate where fates intersect. She gathers courage to ask a passerby for directions, only to be stunned when he instantly recognizes Long Afternoon. A strange connection sparks between strangers. It's the producer, Sung Hyun-jae. He introduces himself with a drink and a warm smile, instantly dissolving Haeun's tension and breaking the ice. Walking deeper inside, Hyun-jae breaks the silence, curious about the other band members he'd heard of. The question acts as a key, probing into Haeun's guarded world. Haeun calmly admits she usually works alone. Hyun-jae nods thoughtfully, the concept of a one-man band deepening his respect for the girl standing before him. A band, yet a solo artist. Appreciation gleaming in his eyes, Hyun-jae gestures for Haeun to enter the studio, ready to begin a deep conversation about music. Under the soft corridor lights, Hyun-jae asks for her name. After a moment's hesitation, Haeun drops her guard and whispers the real name hidden behind her persona, Shin Haeun. Haeun it is. Hyun-jae confirms cheerfully. Haeun pulls down her mask, revealing a relieved smile. In this moment, the seed of trust quietly begins to sprout. Laughter fades into a comfortable silence as they stand side by side in the modern atrium, enjoying the peace of mutual understanding. Yeon breaks the silence, suggesting they head to the studio since the company meeting room is under renovation. At the word company, Haeun pauses, confusion flickering in her eyes. "You own the whole building?" Facing her shock, Yeon waves his hands frantically, bashfully explaining he only rents a few offices. But then, ambition sparks in his eyes, as he jokingly imagines buying the place if his label succeeds. Realization dawns on Haeun, he is building his own label. "That's amazing!" Her sincere praise catches him off guard. His cheeks flush instantly, and he looks down, shyly lost for words. After the brief flutter, insecurity sets in. Her reaction seems too flat. Is she uninterested in the label, or convinced she can succeed alone? Gazing at Haeun's cool demeanor, Yeon marvels silently. She is not just talented, but possesses a steely core that won't be easily won over. It's late, and despite her efforts, exhaustion from an all-nighter is written all over Haeun's face. Noticing this, Yeon gently suggests wrapping up quickly so she can rest. Standing by the door like a gracious host, he lists off the stock coffee, cola, and beer, trying to make her feel at ease. Haeun shakes her head, professionalism replacing fatigue in her eyes, as she insists on diving straight into the topic, the collaboration project. Yeon agrees with a smile. Since they both made time for this, Yeon skips the small talk. He hands over the draft contract, his expression turning serious and focused. Haeun's fingers trace the paper, brows furrowing. After a moment of deep thought, she looks up to ask the question weighing heaviest on her mind. Do I have to perform live or do promotions? Her voice holds a trace of tension, revealing a deep-seated resistance and anxiety about exposing her identity. Facing her worry, Yeon offers the gentlest response. No coercion whether to remain a faceless singer or step into the light, the choice is entirely hers. The air grows still. Yeon's sincere gaze gives her courage, but it is his next words that truly shatter her defenses. It's not just for profit. Not just as a boss, but as a devoted fan, his eyes shine with a pure desire to introduce this talented artist to the world. His raw sincerity leaves Haein speechless, warmth flooding her chest. Before she can fully process the emotion, Yeon turns to the equipment, ready to play the decisive demo. The walls Haein had built silently crumble. She was ready to refuse, but his unexpected flexibility forces her to reevaluate the man standing before her. Is it a guise to seal the deal, or genuine care? Though doubts linger, she chooses to trust for now as Yeon presses play. Fingertips strike the keys, and melody floods the studio. As notes rise, reality fades, leaving only the world of music that is about to bind them together. In the music studio, purple notes flow like liquid ribbons between them. Within the focused silence, a clash of musical ideologies is quietly brewing. A moment of contemplation shatters. Haeun's gaze hardens instantly, a sudden surge of frustration bubbling beneath her calm exterior, ready to erupt. Wait a second, Hyunjae! Her urgent cry stops the producer at the keyboard. As he turns in surprise, she bites her lip, struggling to voice her doubts about this collaboration. Am I just a guest vocalist on a track you've already finished? Accusation drips from her words. Hyunjae smiles awkwardly, trying to deflect. Is the song not good? The song is amazing, but this is a collaboration. Haein towers over him, radiating dominance. It needs to reflect both our styles. Move over. After the tense standoff, Hyunjae yields. Cut to Haein alone, clutching her electric guitar. Her eyes burn with rebellious confidence. She's ready to prove herself. I'm deleting every unnecessary track. She points accusingly at the screen. Ignoring his plea to just mute them, she shouts with manic determination. No! It all has to go! Click. With a merciless press of the delete key, the tracks vanish. Hyunjae gasps in horror, mourning his lost work. Ah, the samples I spent 3 sleepless nights finding. As she strums, her mind races. His track was perfect, truly. But compromising means losing her edge. She must risk perfection for authenticity. A realization hits him like lightning. Fans love more than just the melody, they crave the unique style. Overwhelmed by this epiphany, Hyunjae screams with sudden, giddy excitement. As long as the name Long Afternoon is attached, compromising on style is impossible. This fierce conviction explodes like a supernova in the darkness. Amidst purple flares, the bass roars. Hyunjae stands with arms crossed, his initial worry fading into a gaze of profound, stunned respect. Studying the waveforms, Hyunjae is lost in thought. She didn't just mix genres, she dragged the track into her own world. Her refusal to compromise is her true genius. Fascinating. He rests his chin on his hand, a smirk appearing. Long Afternoon, no Shin Haein. What a truly captivating artist. Inspiration rains down like starlight. I can feel it, Hyunjae declares, eyes shining. We're going to make something incredible. The conflict has ignited a blazing creative fire. While the echo of the passionate solo lingers in the mind, reality snaps back to the studio. Hyunjae turns, softly calling out to the girl lost in her audio world. Haein, want me to grab you a beer? He offers with a smile. Haein pauses, her intensity melting into a shy, soft expression. The air fills with warm camaraderie. Yes, and let's write the first verse too. Haein responds with fiery determination, stars in her eyes. I'm finishing this arrangement today. They are now unstoppable allies. Meanwhile, twilight drapes over the campus. Inside a warm cafe, Lee Yuan sits with a friend, the mundane student life starkly contrasting with the electric studio atmosphere. The laptop screen glows on Yuan's exhausted face. Worried about his weak arguments, he feels the weight of academic pressure. "Ah, whatever," he sighs, giving up in defeat. Finally done. Yuan closes his laptop with a heavy sigh, the suffocating weight of exam week lifting in an instant. Sunlight warms his back as he stretches his stiff limbs, mind already drifting from academic stress to the freedom ahead. A sudden thought sparks a flush across his cheeks, replacing exhaustion with a shy, bubbling excitement. Lost in a daydream of seeing Heian, the jarring ring of his phone snaps him back to reality with a jolt. Cursing his clumsiness, he fumbles for the phone, but annoyance vanishes the moment his eyes lock onto the screen. His jaw drops, freezing in the fading sunset, eyes wide with disbelief at the bombshell notification before him. Meanwhile, on the quiet subway platform, Heian sits alone, idly scrolling through her phone, isolated in the crowd. Lost in her unreleased demo, a familiar voice pierces through the music, making her jump in sheer surprise. There she is! Yuan stands before her, breathless and sweating, unable to hide the frantic joy in his eyes. He thrusts his phone in her face, shouting about the new release, oblivious to the complicated silence settling over her. Staring at her own upcoming release on his screen, the words "listening party" send a wave of absurd panic through her chest. The station quietens around them as Heian swallows her panic, tentatively asking about his enthusiastic proposal. Yuan sits beside her, eyes shining as he earnestly explains the concept, as if describing a sacred ritual. Nostalgia softens his face as he recalls a high school memory, the magic of hearing an artist share their story live. "Let's listen together," he invites her warmly, leaving Heian staring at her phone, cheeks flushing with a sudden, skipped heartbeat. Realizing the artist won't actually be there, he softly pivots, suggesting they simply enjoy the moment, perhaps with some drinks. Heian turns with a playful smirk. "So, you just want to drink with me?" Her directness sends Yuan into a flustered panic. He stammers and waves his hands in denial, but under her amused gaze, he crumbles and sheepishly admits his true intent. Seeing his clumsy sincerity, Heian turns away to hide the smile blooming on her lips, her eyes dancing with secret delight. Checking her calendar for the date, her finger hovers over April 28th before a sudden realization hits her like a bolt of lightning. Her finger freezes on the calendar date. Panic sets in as she realizes the conflict the night she was looking forward to clashes with a recording session. Seeing her frantic attempt to reschedule, Yuan hides his disappointment. He gazes at her softly, assuring her with a smile that it's okay. Seeing her dejected expression, his resolve crumbles. She looks exactly like a puppy denied a walk, a gaze too endearing to ignore. Reality sets in. The band schedule is fixed. Yuan swallows his regret and casually suggests a rain check, hiding the sadness in his eyes. "We don't need a special occasion to meet." His words light up her eyes. They make a pact for after exams, warming the air with renewed hope. As the train approaches, they seal their promise to grab a drink soon. Though parting ways, the vow makes the wait bearable. Days later, the exam bell rings. Yuan exhales sharply, slumping back as the semester's weight finally lifts from his shoulders. Walking wearily through the hall, a friend's enthusiastic invite interrupts his thoughts. Everyone's celebrating, but Yuan pauses, hesitation crossing his face. Despite his friend's persistence, Yuan politely declines. Tonight, he has an unmissable appointment, a private celebration he's been waiting for. Because today, Long Afternoon drops a new song. Even without Heian, as a die-hard fan, he's determined to savor this sacred joy alone. Waving a hasty goodbye, Yuan picks up the pace. His heart is already home, desperate to listen to the new track in perfect silence. The joy is uncontainable. From the kitchen to the bus, Yuan grins like a fool, lost in anticipation, oblivious to the confused glances around him. Finally home. He shuts out the city noise, sits at his desk, and solemnly adjusts his headphones, ready for the auditory feast. Just then, his stomach roars. The hunger pangs shatter the sacred atmosphere, reminding him he hasn't eaten a proper meal all day. Payday treat, fried chicken. He orders quickly, noting to leave it at the door, and heads for a shower to wash off the day's fatigue. Hot water cascades down, filling the bathroom with steam. Yuan closes his eyes, surrendering to the warmth and total relaxation. Outside, Heian walks with a smile. But under the shower, a sudden, inexplicable wave of loneliness washes over Yuan, hollowing out his happy day. "Why so emotional?" he scoffs, but the doorbell cuts him off, ringing incessantly. Didn't he specifically say to leave the food at the door? Annoyed, he wraps a towel and storms to the entry. Before he can even verify through the peephole, he yanks the door open, ready to scold the delivery person. The door swings open, freezing time. Standing in the snow with chicken is Heian. He stands there, half naked, as they stare in utter shock. The door creaks open. Fresh from a shower and dripping wet, Yuan freezes. Standing there is the purple-haired girl who haunts his dreams. Heian weighs the fried chicken, cheeks flushed and eyes twinkling with anticipation. "I found a way to make it. I'm not too late, am I?" Realization crashes down on Yuan. He's wearing nothing but a towel. The air instantly thickens with mortifying awkwardness. "Ah!" A scream pierces the air. Face burning crimson, Yuan scrambles to cover himself, desperate to hide from this humiliating disaster. Heian's amused giggles drift from outside, while inside, Yuan frantically hunts for pants, his mind a complete blank. Oh God, what is happening? Finally dressed, Yuan crouches in despair, screaming internally. The room is a mess, the trash isn't out, and his crush is here right now. Heian seems unbothered. She peeks in, eyes gentle and probing. "Can I borrow some clothes? Before we drink. I'd like to take a shower." The words strike like lightning. Yuan's pupils dilate, his heart pounding in his throat. A shower? Here? Just like their first meeting on the last train, the melody of fate plays again, pulling their worlds infinitely closer. The sound of water fills the bathroom. As warmth cascades over her skin, Heian closes her eyes, washing away the fatigue, a small smile playing on her lips. Just a wall away, Yuan is on his knees, scrubbing the table frantically, attacking every speck of dust in a last-ditch effort to save face. Pausing for a breath, he sits on the floor, a complex sweetness rising in his chest. She remembered my address. Does that mean she hasn't forgotten last time? His thoughts spiral. He starts obsessing over the room scent. Should I clean every day now? Maybe I need a diffuser. Suddenly, the bathroom door cracks open. Heian's voice floats out with the steam. "Yuan, there are no towels in here." "Coming!" Yuan darts around the room like a panicked cartoon character, ransacking drawers for a fresh towel. Handing the towel through the crack, a brush of fingertips sends a shock through him. Listening to the water, he leans against the wall, face burning hot. "Calm down, just calm down." To soothe his exploding heart, he tremblingly taps on a special playlist. A bizarre Buddhist chant remix fills the room. Amidst the solemn yet groovy electronic beats, Yuan meditates, forcing himself into a state of zen. Just then, Heian steps out. She's wearing his white shirt oversized, even on him, damp hair cascading over her shoulders, eyes misty. She tugs lightly at the collar, a hint of playful seduction in her voice. "This shirt, it might slip off with just a little movement. Did you plan this?" Heian touches her collar, her eyes dancing with a mischievous tease in the oversized shirt. Yuan flushes crimson, averting his gaze, until her laughter breaks the thick, romantic tension. Jokes aside, Heian slips into a green track jacket. Though it swims on her frame, she zips it up briskly, flashing a satisfied smile at her reflection. She waves the long sleeves like a child playing dress-up, marveling at the breadth of his shoulders. Watching her petite frame, Yuan wonders aloud how she finished work so early today. At the mention of work, A mysterious smile plays on Hayen's lips. Her thoughts drift away, transporting them back to the dimly lit recording studio not long ago. Back then, she was fully immersed in her music, eyes blazing with passion as she shouted urgent, firm instructions into the mic, radiating explosive energy. Barely pausing for breath, she demanded an immediate check of the mix. Her relentless efficiency drove the studio at a breakneck pace until the final note faded. In the break area, the band members exchanged glances. The usual perfectionist was surprisingly fast today, sparking hushed whispers about her uncharacteristic speed. Despite the speed, no one could deny the perfection of her vocals. The members marveled at her talent while wondering about the reason behind her rush. The moment recording ended, Hayen snapped back to a relaxed state. She confidently announced her completion, but her eyes betrayed an urgent desire to leave immediately. The moment the seniors suggested drinks to celebrate, Hayen yelled, "No!" in a panic. Her intense reaction froze the air, drawing a questioning look from him. Facing his doubt, she scrambled for excuses, blaming the unfinished mix and the absent drummer to awkwardly postpone the celebration party. Before anyone could react, she dropped a goodbye and bolted. The senior was left standing there, staring at the closed door in utter confusion and regret. Yeon imagined reasons for her refusal, feeling a pang of jealousy, a boyfriend, perhaps? But seeing her happily eating chicken right in front of him, his worries seemed instantly superfluous. Hearing Hayen explain the unpredictability of recording, the weight on Yeon's heart lifted. With the misunderstanding cleared, he suggested a toast to long afternoons. New song. Hayen generously opened the expensive whiskey, insisting on returning the favor from last time. As the golden liquid poured into the glasses, the atmosphere lightened considerably. The glasses clinked crisply. Perhaps to hide his earlier awkwardness, Yeon gulped down the strong liquor as if it were mere water. The burn of the alcohol instantly seared his throat, bringing tears to his eyes. Watching his clumsy yet adorable reaction, Hayen laughed helplessly, her eyes full of affection. While Yeon dizzily pondered the alcohol's kick, Hayen eagerly pulled out her phone. Since the night was deep, an intimate listening session for two seemed like the perfect plan. The screen lit up with the cover of Blue Smoke. Leaning back on the sofa, they shared a pair of earphones, ready to experience the unreleased melody together. The moment play was pressed, the world faded into the flowing music. Yeon turned to look at Hayen, who listened with closed eyes, his heartbeat pounding louder than the drums. Fingers grazing the screen, Hayen stares at the familiar cover, her mind drifting back to the countless days and nights spent polishing this song, a solitude only she knows. Arranging every note, testing every instrument, as if floating in a vast galaxy, she poured her soul into the melody bit by bit, seeking that one perfect moment. During those nights alone by a solitary light, the mere thought of someone on this earth listening fills her empty heart with warmth. Clutching her cup nervously, two extremes clash in her mind. Will he scream, genius, like a fanatic, or be disappointed by the new style? It doesn't matter if he doesn't get it, as long as he listens. No, Hayen can't lie to herself. A small voice deep inside whispers, I hope he likes it. As the melody flows, she turns sideways, her gaze falling tenderly on his quiet figure, her fingers instinctively wanting to touch that comforting stillness. Suddenly, her eyes widen in shock. Yeon is gripping his arm tightly, his body trembling as he suppresses his emotions. Is he actually crying? At the slightest touch, Yeon jumps like a startled deer, frantically hiding his tear streaks, but unable to conceal the heartfelt confession that it was beautiful. The lyrics strike like a blade and a hug, piercing the most secret corner of his heart. No matter how hard I try, the radiant he remains so far out of reach. Back to reality, facing Hayen's question, she tries to mask the heaviness with a joke, yet her cheeks still flush under his expectant gaze. Is that a critique from a fellow musician? Hayen tilts her head playfully, instantly reminding Yeon of his flustered, incoherent self back when he was just a fan. Throwing all worries aside, not wanting to face tomorrow's awkwardness, they decide to let go completely, aided by the blurry night and alcohol. Looking at her tender, slightly tipsy profile, Yuan feels his heart pounding wildly against his chest, as if it's about to explode any second. Amidst the laughter, Yuan's eyes glaze over. Within the dizzying happiness, he feels a trace of panic. What exactly is he longing for right now? Is it the strong liquor? Or the intoxicating music? No. The crazy thought becomes clearer right now. He just wants to hold Heian tightly in his arms. The glass in his hand trembles slightly. He hovers on the edge of reason and impulse, unable to distinguish if this thumping heart is due to love or the whiskey's illusion. The night deepens, much like that last train carrying their destinies, transporting two young hearts toward an unknown destination. The conversation shifts to rock history. Raising her glass, eyes sparkling with excitement, Heian passionately recounts the day the Beatles arrived in New York. "Pay us first!" She mimics the superstar's sassy tone. Her playful and vivid expression makes it impossible for Yuan to look away. The air fills with joyous laughter. Yuan wipes away a tear of mirth, marveling at her obsession with music, the very proof of their resonating souls. Clinking glasses, Heian reminisces, her eyes tender as she touches the past. From disliking the static of old records to being captivated by their timeless melodies. The thought of voices transcending death lights up her eyes. She vows that even if aliens invade a century from now, her song will still echo. She breaks the heavy mood with a straight-faced joke about being the ancestor of planet-destroying aliens, making Yuan burst into laughter. Laughter fades into curiosity as Yuan turns to her. He asks tentatively, hoping to trade secrets and hear the melodies hidden within her heart. Caught off guard, Heian grips her cup nervously. Eyes cast down, she stammers, too shy to admit to the music she is ready. Sensing her insecurity, Yuan assures her of her talent. To soothe her nerves, he tenderly mixes a special golden ratio drink just for her. After several rounds, Yuan is visibly tipsy. He waves away another shot, his eyes glazing over, yet his heart is full from their deep conversation. He clumsily blames his fatigue on studying, but Heian just watches him in silence, the air thick with unspoken affection and beating hearts. Without warning, she lays her head on his lap, freezing time. Panic strikes Yuan as he bolts upright, face burning red, heart skipping a beat. To diffuse the tension, she shows him her diary app, explaining how writing her feelings creates a star in the digital sky. She teasingly types that his thigh offers the golden ratio of comfort. Her playful flirting draws a helpless, flustered laugh from him. The teasing escalates as she claims the pillow for the night. Yuan doesn't back down, softly implying he might just have to hold her back. The air stills. She questions his boldness, but the wavering yet determined look in Yuan's eyes tells her this is no mere joke. He leans in dangerously close, their breath mingling. His whisper challenges her, testing the fragile barrier protecting her heart. Touching her lips, she blames the alcohol to regain composure, frantically suggesting one last drink to stall the inevitable overflow of emotion. Dropping the facade, she confesses it's not the alcohol. With her back to him, she softly admits her deep desire to fall asleep in his arms. Her confession ignites a fire in his eyes. Instead of rushing, he asks for permission, his voice trembling with anticipation and respect. She turns back, eyes shimmering with challenge and hope. "If I say yes, do you have the courage to cross that line?" Before she can finish, he wraps his arms tight around her. Hesitation vanishes in the heat of his embrace, his action the only answer needed. But gravity ruins the moment. In a chaotic blur of limbs and startled cries, they crash onto the floor, romance instantly replaced by a clumsy thud. In the dim room, intimacy spikes. Heian embraces Yuan from behind, her heart thundering in the silence. Cheeks flushed, her gaze holds a mix of shyness and deep affection. She presses her face against his back, voice trembling yet firm. "I didn't want to cross the line, because you matter so much to me." Restraint only fuels the fire. Feeling her warmth, Yuan gently holds her hand. He reciprocates the tenderness. "In that case, let's just sleep in each other's arms tonight." They lie nestled together on the floor. Moonlight bathes their entangled figures, and a comforting silence fills the air, as if they are the only two people in the world. But before Heian's heart can settle, steady breathing fills her ear. Her eyes widen in disbelief in this romantic moment. Did he just fall asleep instantly? Annoyance melts into affection. Remembering his late-night studying and the heavy equipment he hauled for work, she realizes his exhaustion has finally claimed him. Sitting by the bed, she pokes his cheek, resigned yet charmed. How can you make my heart race like crazy and then just drift off so peacefully? You said it was okay, anyway. Heian sheds her jacket. With a mix of nervousness and anticipation, she carefully lies down beside him. This time, she initiates the closeness. The scent of body wash mixed with a hint of whiskey intoxicates her, compelling her to breathe him in deeply. Fingertips graze his collar, desire testing the edges of reason. She silently admits her craving for his scent, while Yuan murmurs softly in his sleep. Yet, the tighter the embrace, the heavier the guilt. I haven't told you who I really am. She feels like a secret observer, greedy for his warmth yet terrified. Watching his unguarded face, Heian's gaze dims. The shining vocalist is gone. Right now, she's just an alien too afraid to reveal her true identity. Maybe I'm the coward. Wrapped in the midnight embrace, their bodies touch, but her secret stands like an invisible wall, tinging her happiness with bitterness. Morning light pierces through the blinds. Yuan groggily opens his eyes, but a strange sensation against his body jolts him from his stupor. A hangover pounds at his temples. My head, what happened after we talked about the Beatles? His memory is fragmented, leaving a frustrating void. He curls up, assuming Heian went home. Suddenly, his spine stiffens, pupils dilating in shock. There's unmistakable body heat sharing his blanket. Trembling hands press against the lump in the covers. Soft, warm, definitely not a pillow. Cold sweat breaks out. What on earth is this? He rips the covers back to reveal a familiar face. Heian squints lazily, a mischievous smirk playing on her lips as she watches his panic. Awake? Ah! Yuan screams, soul leaving his body. Unfazed, Heian rolls over, propping her chin up to tease him. Sleep well? Hope I didn't squish you. Yuan clutches his collar, turning beet red. His brain finally processes the reality. He spent the entire night in the same bed as his idol? Morning light pierces the fog of a hangover as Yuan wakes in panic, memories fragmented. Beside him, Heian props her head up, a teasing smile playing on her lips as she breaks the silence. Sleep well, Yuan? Memories rush by like a train, sealing the palpitations and secrets of that night, as the scent of romance quietly spreads through the air, signaling their relationship is heading into uncharted depths. The hum of the hairdryer fills the room as Heian closes her eyes, letting her hair dance in the warm air. Yuan sits on the edge of the bed organizing his clothes, a silent intimacy flowing between them. In the kitchen, Yuan stares at the boiling ramen while his mind explodes. Fragmented memories flash like lightning. Bare skin, shared warmth, and Heian's shy smile. Did he really spend the night in the same bed with her? Yuan! A sudden call snaps him out of his spiraling thoughts, nearly making him drop his chopsticks. Sitting on the living room floor, Heian looks up with clear, expectant eyes, casually asking, Do you have plans today? Yuan hastily hides his inner turmoil, explaining he has work later. Heian rests her chin on her hands, the starlight in her eyes turning into gentle concern, seemingly seeing right through his lingering fatigue. In that case, won't you stay a bit longer until my work starts? Heian's invitation instantly warms the air. Yuan stares down at his ramen, heart racing, while clumsily muttering, I don't mind. Faced with Heian's direct expectation, Yuan's insecurity suddenly flares up. He scrambles for excuses, terrified of becoming a burden, causing a flicker of disappointment to pass through Heian's eyes. Their conversation turns subtle amidst the steam rising from the ramen. To cover his retreat, Yuan stiffly explains he needs to change, emphasizing his studio is nearby, a clumsy excuse to both flee and stay close. Yuan secretly calculates the convenience of the location, while Heian, eating her noodles, quickly suppresses the urge to tell him to come over anytime. Both are treading carefully around the boundaries of their relationship. Even over a simple bowl of ramen, Yuan's internal drama continues. Feeling he has nothing to offer, he dares not hope Heian would visit without reason, until a soft call pulls him back to reality. The topic suddenly shifts to exercise. Relieved, Yuan chatters about his morning runs and past club activities, trying to present a normal, healthy image, completely unaware he's walking into a sweet trap. Just as I expected, Heian bites her chopsticks, a mischievous glint in her eyes, as she drops a bombshell without warning. I felt your body was well-toned when I hugged you yesterday. Yuan's brain short-circuits instantly, cold sweat breaking out. Heian shows no mercy, continuing to describe the sensation with a lazy drawl. You hugged me so tight, the solid muscle, your arms are really strong. Seeing Yuan's flushed face, as he tries to verify the facts, Heian bursts into laughter. She mimics his drunken tone from the night before. I held back a lot, you know. That's what you said. You're lying, right? Just teasing me. Yuan is a mix of shame and indignation, suspecting a prank. But Heian's certain gaze makes him realize those embarrassing memories might actually be real. Heian drops the teasing, her gaze softening. She confesses she thought she'd have insomnia, but found peace in his immediate slumber. So, naturally, she fell asleep right beside him. Yuan, trembling with shame, wants nothing more than to disappear, apologizing profusely for his drunken state. But Heian simply lowers her eyes gently, whispering, It's fine. Actually, I enjoyed that hug too. It's been a long time since someone hugged me with all their strength. Heian looks out the window, her tone revealing a rare vulnerability and relief. I realized then, hugs are truly vital for us humans. The sound of running water returns in the kitchen. With her back to him, Heian lightens the heavy atmosphere. Since it was a good memory, don't overthink it. Yuan collapses onto the sofa, cheeks burning, his heart unable to calm down. Under the calm city sky, Yuan hits the seaside track, beginning his physical training in deceptive tranquility. Suddenly, eyes wide and face flushed, he sprints with explosive speed like a runaway engine, startling bystanders. Lungs burning, he gasps for air, desperately convincing himself this is for health, not just to show off. Heian's gentle smile fuels his steps, but doubt creeps in like sweat. Does she even care? Legs feeling like lead, he collapses to his knees but grits his teeth, screaming internally, one more lap. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of the instrument shop, Heian enjoys a peaceful afternoon, oblivious to the chaos elsewhere. She giggles at the bear she sketched. It looks just like Yuan and wonders if she should secretly post it. A sudden hey makes Heian jump out of her skin, turning to find Yuan grinning at his successful prank. Recovering from the fright, Yuan excitedly recounts his unexpected all-night drinking session with the famous producer Hyunjae. Mentioning that Hyunjae knows about the band now, Yuan's smile fades into seriousness as he delivers a message. A live performance music video. The proposal leaves Heian frozen, pin hovering in midair, stunned. Seeing her hesitation, Yuan quickly adds that they can edit to hide her face, but the weight of the decision remains. Alone in thought, she wrestles with her desire to stay hidden versus the what-if growing silently in her heart. A warm smile flashes in her mind. Perhaps with just a little courage, she can step closer to that shining world. To protect those precious feelings, Heian finally decides, if she can stay hidden, she will give it a shot. Back in reality, Yuan drags his aching body down the street, every step feeling like torture. Despite the pain, memories of Heian and his completed goals fill him with a sweetness that overrides the exhaustion. He pushes open the cafe door, shouting a cheerful greeting, only to be met with the unexpected absence of his usually noisy boss. Pushing down his confusion, he heads to the back and changes into his uniform, unaware of the approaching storm. As he prepares to take over, a coworker's words tighten his chest. Oh, Ju left sick hours ago, leaving the night shift unmanned. The air in the shop seems to freeze as everyone gathers, discussing their colleague's sudden illness with anxious faces. Learning she was shaking with a high fever and rushed to the ER, worry spreads rapidly through the cramped kitchen, hearts heavy with concern. Not wanting to burden the others, Yuan braces himself and kindly tells his colleague to head home, preparing to shoulder the long night alone. Unexpectedly, the new part-timer Xinyoung flashes a bright smile, her eyes determined as she volunteers to stay and help him through the crisis. This night is destined to be anything but lonely, as a vibrant melody quietly begins to play in their shared understanding. Xinyoung is a powerhouse of energy, moving like a vibrant whirlwind between the counter and customers, instantly lighting up the shop's atmosphere. During a brief lull, Yuan takes a call from the boss. Though the shop is running smoothly, a hint of concern for the boss lingers on his face. On the other end, the boss's voice is weak from the foredrip but filled with apology, guilt-ridden for worrying his staff while he's down. Hearing that Xinyoung volunteered to stay, the tension in the boss's voice finally melts away, and a relieved smile touches Yuan's lips. But realizing the young girl is pulling a double shift, both Yuan and the boss feel a pang of sympathy, even if she claims it's just for the extra cash. Confirming everything is settled, Yuan hangs up, the weight lifting from his chest, replaced by a newfound respect for his reliable new partner. Yuan relays the promise of extra pay, and they exchange smiles. The words "we'll get through this together" instantly bring them closer. Facing the potential surge of night customers, Xinyoung confidently flexes, using her boundless energy to dispel Yuan's last bit of worry. Seeing her overflowing energy, Yuan turns to head out to the back alley with relief, only to be suddenly stopped by Xinyoung, who has one more thing to say. Learning Yuan is her senior, Xinyoung winks playfully and declares she'll drop the honorifics, her boldness surprising yet amusing Yuan. With the tasks inside momentarily paused, Yuan steps into the back alley, the city twilight pulling him into a moment of deep reflection. Weighing the heavy trash bags in his hands, Yuan's thoughts drift to the unguarded girl inside, stirring a long-forgotten ripple in his heart. He used to open his heart just like her, but somewhere along the way, he started carefully calculating distances in every relationship, holding himself back. Just as he sinks into melancholy, a panicked scream from inside shatters the silence instantly. It's not danger, but a worse nightmare: a massive delivery order of 15 sandwiches right before closing. Chaos erupts in the kitchen instantly. The kitchen is a battlefield, orders piling up like an avalanche. Panic sets in as beverages spill, and stress levels skyrocket. Amidst the chaos, the new hire Xinyoung proves surprisingly capable. Senior Yunwoo breathes a sigh of relief, impressed by her efficiency. A sudden equipment failure sparks brief panic, but their teamwork resolves it instantly. Finally, a rare peaceful silence settles over the empty cafe. Exhausted, Yunwoo stretches his aching shoulders. He kindly urges Xinyoung to leave early, sparing her the late-night closing shift. Learning she lives nearby, Yunwoo jokes about keeping the taxi fare. They wave goodbye in high spirits, the air filled with warm camaraderie. Left alone, the noise fades into silence. Yunwoo's smile drops as he faces the solitude and responsibility of closing up shop. A sudden flutter in his chest makes him pause. In that daze, a vision of a purple-haired girl smiling gently surfaces in his mind. His thoughts drift back to that night. Yuan finds himself obsessing over a question he never dared to ask. How old is Heian really? In the subway memory, Heian casually drops a bomb. I'm 39. Yuan freezes, his entire worldview shattering in an instant. The shock short-circuits Yuan's brain. He trembles in confusion on the bench, while Heian remains maddeningly calm. Realizing he actually believed her, Heian yells, "It's a lie," in flustered disbelief, while Yuan nearly sobs from the emotional roller coaster. Misunderstanding cleared, Yuan genuinely praises her youthful look, then cautiously probes for her real age, eyes full of hope. Instead of answering, Heian teases with a playful smile, does not knowing really matter? Leaving him flustered and anxious. Realizing his abruptness, Yuan bows his head in guilt. Yet, his clumsy sincerity unexpectedly touches a soft spot in Heian's heart. A small smile plays on her lips as she offers a deal. Only if you call me Heian SSI from now on. She craves that adult respect. Yeon is baffled, but Heian stands firm, her eyes clear. Others might find it weird, but I like it, she admits openly. It makes me feel respected. Yeon overthinks it as some roleplay kink, flushing crimson as he frantically denies the misunderstanding. Seeing her shy yet firm insistence, Yeon's heart skips a beat. He stammers, agreeing to this intimate new way of addressing her. Finally, she whispers the truth, I'm 21. Yeon freezes. The number implies a gap he hadn't anticipated. Yeon's jaw drops. 21 and already working. It shatters his perception of reality, the shock momentarily outweighing the romance. As Heian calmly explains her early start in the workforce, realization hits Yeon like a brick. His face burns crimson, sweat forming on his brow, as he recalls the sheer embarrassment of mistaking her for a student. The memory of her downing whiskey, like a pro, still sends a shock through him. But the roar of the arriving train pulls him back, and his heart skips a beat as she leans comfortably against his shoulder, the atmosphere turning sweet and intimate. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Heian steps closer, demanding a change in how they address each other. Yeon stammers, his mind racing with the flustered possibility of a new title, leaving him laughing nervously. Yeon admits he was fooled by her mature demeanor. Heian grins, transforming into a playful little fox before his eyes, her expression radiating a mix of cunning charm and adorable triumph. Meanwhile, in the quiet corner of the cafe, exhaustion sets in. The boss collapses into a chair, letting out a heavy groan, the weight of returning to the grind crushing the brief peace of the break. In the kitchen, she massages her stiff neck, visible fatigue on her face. The silver-haired senior approaches, eyes filled with worry, warning her softly not to trade her youth and health for mere money. Financial woes elicit a shared, bitter laugh. But the mood lifts instantly at the mention of the new part-timer, her bright energy shining like a beacon of yellow light through the dull routine of their workday. Despite the rookie mistakes, affection for the newcomer is clear. The senior stands with hands on hips, a warm smile gracing his lips as he admits his genuine relief and reliance on his colleague's presence. The brown-haired employee leans in close, whispering that he's the only one trusted. The senior flushes red instantly, scrubbing dishes furiously to hide his embarrassment while grumbling about the sudden affection. Watching the senior's cool demeanor, a spark lights up in the brown-haired man's eyes. He touches his chin, a plan forming as he tentatively asks about the upcoming day off, mischief brewing. At the offer of a meat treat, the senior freezes, then explodes in comedic rage. Realizing it's a repayment favor, he screams in frustration he'd much rather just have the cold, hard cash. The brown-haired man clings desperately, whining for beef. The senior sighs in defeat, only for the conversation to take a shy turn with the suggestion of cooking at home, introducing a subtle, intimate tension. The senior's loud refusal echoes he won't grill alone, like a sad bachelor. But the scene cuts to him standing solitary at the sink, his slumped shoulders betraying the deep, creeping loneliness of living alone. Sensing the hesitation, the brown-haired man softens his voice, extending the invitation again. The senior lowers his gaze, his defenses crumbling silently against the irresistible allure of companionship. Suddenly, the senior snaps back to a cold, professional mask. He barks a short order to man the counter and strides away, leaving the brown-haired man standing there, blinking in utter confusion. The scene shifts to a gray-haired man in a bucket hat, lost in his own world. Notes dancing on his phone screen wall off the surrounding noise, leaving only intense, focused listening. In his mind, the music explodes into a vibrant pixelated stage. Rough as the mix is, Heian's guitar carries a magical, distinct identity that forces him to see the potential beyond the raw melody. Torn between the tracks, he furrows his brow in a pleasant dilemma. The retro vibe is too captivating to judge lightly. He decides he needs the precision of his studio monitors to make the final call. A soft shutter click shatters the peace. He instinctively pulls his hat lower, eyes darting to catch the sneak photographer. A wave of unease washes over him, the annoying, intrusive price of his fame. The lens focuses on a corner of the cafe where a voyeur eagerly aims her camera, while the gray-haired man pulls his hat down, swallowing his frustration in the tense silence. A shout shatters the silence. The waiter spins around, pointing an accusing finger at the intruder. Patience is run out, and the conflict erupts instantly. Instead of apologizing, the woman defends herself by citing the victim's fame, but the waiter stands his ground, his eyes burning with righteous anger and principle. "I'm a customer too," she cries, only to be crushed by the waiter's cold retort. "Did you even order?" Her arrogance instantly freezes in the air. The senior staff straightens his back. Though usually mild, he now issues a firm ultimatum to protect the real customers, his tone leaving no room for argument. Outside, the woman screams threats of revenge, but the staff member simply waves goodbye with a breezy smile, the most powerful retort to her unreasonableness. As the storm settles, the gray-haired man apologizes guiltily, but the waiter switches to a relaxed expression, melting the awkwardness with warm tolerance. "Famous or not, you're just a customer who likes cappuccino." These gentle words soothe all anxiety like a warm current, quietly drawing them closer. The warm cup in his hands bears witness to this healing moment. Regarding the cafe as his best refuge, the man leaves with a lingering sense of gratitude. The moment he relaxes, the tension crashes down, and the senior complains about the stress while the boss gives a thumbs up, eyes filled with admiration for his capable partner. Saying, "Don't be like me," with a hint of tsundere exhaustion, he suddenly shifts gears. "Anyway, I want some meat too." Appetite is the best stress reliever. The moment the plan is set, their faces flush with anticipation. As night falls, the city lights seem to warm up for the upcoming gathering. Cut to the street, where Lee Yuan stands alone in the bustling night, looking down at his phone, his isolation and anxious waiting magnified by the surrounding noise. His finger hovers over the job application page as reality crashes in like a tide. No one else has applied yet. He tries to console himself, but his brow furrows deeper. On a night meant for relaxation, anxiety wraps around his heart like a vine, torn between "must work hard" and "take a break." His eyes reveal deep exhaustion. Deciding to escape reality, he clicks on his favorite band, Long Afternoon, but a split second before the music starts, a detail on the screen makes his pupils dilate in shock. The familiar album cover fills his vision, but before he can process the surprise, a familiar voice calls from behind. The boss appears, interrupting his train of thought. Looking up sharply, Yuan is startled to see someone with the boss. It's the part-timer Shin Young. The unexpected reunion makes his heart skip a beat. "She had a rough day too." The boss's gentle explanation clears the confusion, and Shin Young's shy smile warms the night air. It turns out everyone is seeking healing. All worries are cast aside. Shin Young throws a fist in the air shouting, "Let's eat meat!" And their laughter instantly lights up the night as they march toward a delicious meal. Under the night sky, the boss's eyes gleam with manic hunger as she screams about devouring a whole cow, while beside her, Yuan buries his hand in his pocket, his trembling fingertips betraying his hidden nerves. Suddenly, warmth wraps around his arm. Clinging to him like a child, she calls out a sweet "Appa" and urges him toward the meat, leaving Yuan stunned and heart-pounding. As they walk side by side down the corridor, her giggles echo in his ears. Yuan moves stiffly, confused by this sudden intimacy, as a strange, unfamiliar sensation quietly blooms in his chest. His gaze falls on their linked arms as he tries to steady his breathing. It was supposed to be just a meal, but this unexpected touch complicates everything, making even the phone notification sound jarring. Meanwhile, in another corner of the city, Shin Haen sits alone on the floor. Her fingers strum the strings, but the right note remains elusive, the scattered sheet music mocking her lack of inspiration. She pauses in frustration, purple hair falling over her shoulders. Is it the rhythm, or just hunger? Caught between self-doubt and primal instinct, She lets out a helpless sigh. The scene cuts back to the track titled, My Bias Gets on the Last Train, like a pause frame in a player, where people from two different worlds wait for fate to press play. Inside the barbecue restaurant, red meat sizzles on the grill, sending up savory smoke. The boss closes her eyes, takes a bite, and a smile of pure, worldly bliss blooms on her face. With meat comes the need for alcohol. Amidst the lively chatter of the restaurant, the boss waves her hand, ignoring her fatigue, and boisterously orders another bottle of soju. Facing Yuan's concern about her hangover, the boss winks slyly, citing the twisted logic of fighting poison with poison. The phone screen illuminates her mischievous look, leaving Yuan exasperated yet amused. But you're here, aren't you? She says, chin in hand, her tone suggestive. This casual reliance makes a stranger mistake them for a sweet couple. Yuan wants to object, but his cheeks betray him with a flush. The waitress curiously probes into their relationship. The boss smiles, explaining their dynamic of working and eating together, revealing a natural companionship that feels even warmer than romance. Just a guy and a girl. The waitress's casual tease instantly ignites Yuan's embarrassment. He crosses his arms tightly, face burning red, and loudly denies it, trying to mask his panic with volume. Emboldened by the alcohol, the boss jokes, I was the one trying to seduce him. Yuan's eyes widen in horror, hands over his mouth, completely defeated by her teasing laughter. After the joke, the boss's gaze turns serious and probing. She leans in slightly, staring into Yuan's shifting eyes. Since you live alone, you don't have a girlfriend, right? Just as Yuan admits to being single, the boss keenly catches his hesitation. Tapping his arm, her eyes twinkling with gossip. But actually, there's someone you're kinda seeing, isn't there? Bullseye. Yuan breaks into a cold sweat, eyes darting around in panic. Under her rapid-fire questioning, he can only stammer. Just someone I see often. The scene flashes back to that distant moment at the hospital, and Yuan's voice lowers. Without even a phone number, hardly even friends, the fragility of their connection leaves a bitter taste. Yet he tightens his grip on the glass, his gaze turning unusually gentle and firm. If I had to define it, she is someone I want to keep talking to. This sincere confession softens the air. The boss watches him quietly, then lifts the bottle to break the brief silence. Your glass is empty. Another round? The noise of the party explodes as a waiter screams, making Yuan tremble in fear, while the boss beside him raises her glass, cheering in the chaos. The noise fades as his mind drifts back to that quiet afternoon. Sunlight fills the empty studio where Heian stands alone, immersed in the vibration of the strings. Creative block tightens her brow, but Yuan leans in with a warm smile, trying to break the heavy atmosphere with a light-hearted question. Hey, what's for dinner? Seeing Heian collapse listlessly on the floor, Yuan drops the jokes and crouches down, his eyes betraying unconcealed concern and worry. It usually flows naturally, but this time. Heian lowers her gaze, pouring out her creative anxiety to her gentle listener, her voice heavy with helplessness. Watching her corner herself, Yuan gently bends down and suggests, Since you're stuck, why don't we sneak out for some good food to give your brain a break? I'll handle everything. Yuan's assured smile dispels her hesitation, and Heian finally puts down her guitar, eyes lighting up with anticipation for their escape. The happy promise of the past echoes, but reality is a late-night street. The drunken boss sways with an empty bottle, whining to the night sky about loneliness, pulling Yuan back to the helpless present. Maybe I shouldn't have divorced. She unguardedly tears open old wounds, spilling regrets with the alcohol, leaving Yuan awkwardly listening to her repetitive drunken truths. Sadness vanishes instantly, as the boss excitedly demands a second round. Yuan tightens his backpack straps, rationally trying to escape this endless alcohol marathon. Fine, I'll go alone. Rejected, she storms off into the night like a petulant child, leaving Yuan standing there, his eyes filled with helplessness and worry. Watching her swaying figure wave goodbye, Yuan sighs, unable to just walk away. Tired or not, I can't let her pass out alone on the street. Just as he moves to follow, a hand suddenly clamps onto his wrist. Yuan turns in surprise as the air thickens with an ambiguity that refuses to be ignored. The promise to go home was a lie. With a sly wink, the boss drags a sweating Yuan toward her premeditated next stop, giving him no chance to escape. Fueled by alcohol, she hooks her arm through his, leaning close. Actually, I just wanted to talk to you more. It's not just drunk talk, but a dangerous test of intimacy. Are you thinking about that person? The boss leans in close, her gaze sharpening as she probes into Yuan's mysterious girlfriend, instantly tensing the atmosphere. You'll get hurt if you're too serious. Speaking from experience, she coldly condemns what she sees as a fake relationship, her eyes filled with weary desolation. Even if it is a joke. Yuan stops walking, his gaze unusually firm, showing the courage to protect his feelings in front of his boss for the first time. I prefer to be direct, even if I end up crying. His clumsy yet naked sincerity instantly turns the boss's teasing into ashamed silence and admiration. Misunderstanding melts in the night breeze. The boss touches his arm with a radiant smile. You're a truly good guy. From now on, we're real friends. The night blurs as the boss hangs heavily on his arm, slurring that it's just a habit. Yuan sighs, dragging his feet, feeling nothing but exhaustion from this endless night. Just a short while ago, under the same twilight, his gaze pierced the crowd to find her the one who moved his heart nestled in another man's arms, a sight that stung his eyes. The girl with violet eyes looks down at her phone flustered. In this moment of cross gazes, the air hangs heavy with suffocating misunderstandings and distance. The memory explodes in his mind. Yuan's pupils dilate, cold sweat dripping. It was definitely Heian. And that man holding her so intimately, the brutal truth rains down on him. Impossible. His mental defenses crumble instantly. Her claim of being single clashes violently with the image in his mind, shattering his trust, and leaving only the stinging pain of betrayal. Fate plays a cruel joke. On one side, Heian's innocent dinner hunt with her uncle. On the other, Yuan trapped by his drunk boss. Pure bonds twisted into scandalous misunderstandings in each other's eyes. Dreams swallow reality. A massive purple shark prowls above the ruined city, like inescapable fate, churning up turbulent waves in the deep night. Yuan struggles desperately in the purple torrent, suffocation washing over him. He opens his mouth in a silent scream, his body helplessly plunging into the abyss. Help me, Dash! The desperate cry is cut short by reality. He jolts awake, chopsticks slipping from his hand. The familiar kitchen tiles remind him that the drowning was just a nightmare. Back at the shop, he stirs the drink mechanically. The ice clinking makes a monotonous sound as he puffs his cheeks, trying to mask his daze with professional focus. Yuan, are you sculpting a masterpiece? The senior's roar explodes in his ear. He snaps back to reality, apologizing profusely while sweating, his movements clumsy with panic. The senior snatches the glass, his glare sharp but tinged with concern. Go take out the trash and clear your head. Zone out again, and you're done for. In the dim back alley, Yuan vents his frustration on the trash bags. Fists pressed against his forehead, he curses his own composure. Damn it, what is wrong with me today? Acting like a fool. Closing his eyes, the image of those two intimate figures haunts him again. They must be together. The thought clings to him like a ghost, dragging his heart into a freezing abyss. Pain amplifies in solitude. He slumps down, muscles tense with anger. She said there was no one else. The feeling of being deceived makes him feel more pathetic than ever. Those once gentle smiles now turn into the sharpest blades. The sweeter the memories, the more brutal the crash of reality. Amidst flying sparks, his heart is smashed to pieces. Yuan falls to his knees on the dirty ground, clutching the trash bag as if it's his only support. Suppressed gasps roll in his throat, turning into a powerless curse. Sweat drips to the ground as he finally admits the shameful truth. Hearts are unpredictable. I thought I just wanted to talk to her, but unknowingly, I greedily wanted her all to myself. The city lights shine brilliantly, yet fail to pierce his lonely corner. Only the musical notes in his room flow quietly, waiting to soothe a soul wounded by love and jealousy. Purple light flows through the silent studio as Heian sits hugging her knees, closing herself off and reacting coldly to Sun Hyunjae's remixed proposal. Faced with Hyunjae's carefully prepared plan, Heian nods perfunctorily. Her "it's fine" lacks any warmth, filling the air with awkward tension. "It's the same without me anyway." Heian's self-deprecating words pierce like ice, stopping Hyunjae in his tracks as his complex gaze tries to penetrate her disguise. Hyunjae drops his smile, his tone turning stern. He lists the team's efforts, trying to wake Heian from her negativity with a sense of responsibility. "Don't waste everyone's effort." The words hit home. Heian's eyes redden, her stubbornness crumbling into guilt as she whispers an apology. Seeing Heian soften, Hyunjae instantly switches back to the supportive mentor mode, dissolving the tension with a light-hearted joke. As the atmosphere relaxes, Hyunjae gently asks about her strange behavior. The question instantly pulls Heian's memories back to that stinging sunset. Painful memories surge like a tide. Heian bites down on her mask, forcing the desperate scream back into her throat, though her heart is already in ruins. Suppressed emotions finally burst the dam. She screams in a hallucination, her utter disappointment in relationships turning into blades directed at the bewildered Hyunjae. Trembling, she accuses the inconsistency of the human heart. A bond she once trusted implicitly has now become the deepest scar on her heart. Facing Heian's brokenness, Hyunjae doesn't argue but quietly uses this as a starting point, trying to guide her to re-examine the relationship gently. "The human heart is like a riverbed. It looks shallow, but diving in can be fatal." Hyunjae uses a deep metaphor, gently warning her not to hurt herself in uncertain affections. Hyunjae's words plunge her into thought. She has to admit, perhaps her own high expectations turn the relationship into a heavy burden. Fear strikes again. She starts questioning her encounter with Yeon. Could all the fluttering hearts and companionship be just a superficial, fleeting cloud? Cutting back to the subway station, seeing Yeon's defenseless, brilliant smile, Heian feels no comfort, but rather an inexplicable surge of irritation and anger. She wants to scream out her frustration, yet a faint voice deep inside admits, despite the anger, she still desperately wants to see that stupid face. The late-night subway station is empty and desolate. Yeon walks down the stairs alone, his figure looking lonely, a certain resolve hidden in his eyes. He spots the figure at the edge of the platform instantly. Heian isn't sitting as usual, and this anomaly makes Yeon's heart suspend in midair. The bitterness of misunderstanding surges. Yeon grips his bag strap until his knuckles turn white, the suspicion of a boyfriend making him feel as painful as a clown begging for attention. The air seems to freeze. Heian's decisive words, "We probably won't meet again," strike like a heavy hammer, shattering the last shred of hope in Yeon's eyes. The air on the platform freezes instantly. Yeon screams desperately for a chance to talk, sweat trickling down his face, but Heian's icy stare reflects nothing but cold detachment, shutting him out completely. Suppressed insecurity finally erupts. Yeon demands to know if she has a boyfriend. As Heian stands in shock, he unleashes the accusation that has been tormenting him. He saw her arm in arm with another man. The absurdity of the misunderstanding dawns on her. She explains it was just her uncle, but seeing Yeon's disbelief, her embarrassment turns into sharp anger at being taken for a liar. The tables turn instantly. Flushing with indignation, Heian fires back, accusing him of the same crime. Yeon freezes as the memory of a clumsy moment with his boss flashes through his mind. Digging himself into a deeper hole, Yeon stammers about a company dinner. But his clumsy excuses crumble under Heian's sarcastic barrage, and the situation spirals completely out of control. Despair overwhelms reason. Refusing to hear another word, Heian storms off, leaving behind a crushing waste of time. Yeon stands frozen, the words piercing his heart like a blade. The train approaches with a deafening roar, wind whipping her hair. Heian stands at the edge, heart heavy with bitterness. Did all those moments really mean nothing to him? Logic snapped seconds before the end. Yeon lunges forward, grabbing her arm in a desperate, breathless plea, begging her to stay, just for this one night. Whether rain or sweat, his face is drenched, but his eyes burn with resolve. He screams into the night, vowing to prove his sincerity to her wavering heart with every fiber of his being. The sudden outburst short-circuits her brain. Anger gives way to shock as a flush spreads across her cheeks. She stares at him, heart skipping a beat, completely thrown off by his clumsy intensity. A new chapter unfolds. Beneath the romantic glow of the city streets where lovers walk, the camera shifts to a solitary figure deep in thought, perhaps holding the key to this tangled romance. The harsh light of the cooler illuminates a face of indecision. The cafe owner is trapped in his nightly ritual, 2 cans for a buzz, or a 4-pack to forget. Life's dilemmas boiled down to beer math. A pink-tinted fantasy takes over. Imagining sipping a cold one, while swooning over a drama heartthrob makes him grin. To preserve the perfect moment, he settles on just 1 can, staying sober enough to savor the sweetness. Fingers brush the cold aluminum, but logic kicks in. Remembering yesterday's indulgence, he squeezes his eyes shut, locked in a painful internal tug-of-war between desire and discipline. Stepping out empty-handed, the night breeze carries his heavy sigh. The cruelty of aging hits hard, longer hangovers, stubborn weight. He has the money now, but lost the freedom to indulge, leaving only a bitter taste of loneliness. Just as he wallows in self-pity, the sound of frantic footsteps breaks the silence. A familiar shout of "Boss!" spins him around, revealing 2 breathless figures sprinting straight toward him. Under the dim streetlights, confusion reigns. The boss stares wide-eyed at Yeon, who has inexplicably returned, and the mysterious purple-haired girl beside him, trying to piece together why they're here. Ignoring the sweat on his brow, Yeon is desperate to prove a point. He nervously introduces the older man to Haein, revealing the truth. This is simply the owner of the cafe where he works. Haein offers a shy greeting, and the boss responds politely, but his mind is racing. Taking in her appearance, the puzzle pieces click. Is this the last trained girl Yeon hasn't stopped talking about? Just as the boss silently appreciates her beauty, Yeon blurts out the crucial question, "We had a company dinner, right?" Seeing the boy so desperate to clear his name, the boss realizes exactly what's going on, and a knowing smile plays on his lips. Under the dim streetlights, the boss pats Yeon's shoulder with a nostalgic smile, trying to recall the dinner party, keeping the mood light. Haein interrupts to confirm the truth. The boss's smile freezes as his eyes shift, trying to downplay it. "She's just a colleague, isn't she? It was your first real conversation too, right?" The boss mocks internally, recalling the stark contrast between the cheerful Shinung by day and her darker side at night. He turns to Haein, arms crossed, and states firmly, "So, basically, she and Yeon have no relationship. Do you understand?" Trying to force the topic closed. "But I saw her holding your arm." Haein's retort tightens the air instantly. Flustered, the boss stammers that it's just her overly tactile habit, sweat beading on his forehead. "She does it even when we're alone." The boss smiles bitterly, trying to rationalize this crossed boundary as a result of her upbringing to hide the awkwardness. Yeon looks down, struggling in silence, while Haein turns her head, her gaze piercing through his hesitation and inner turmoil. "If you say so, I guess." Haein chooses to trust him for now. Yeon thanks him with relief, though the tension lingers beneath the surface. With the misunderstanding seemingly cleared, the boss returns to normal and, seeing the late hour, offers, "Do you want a ride home?" Yeon is about to accept politely when Haein cuts in coldly, "No." Her sharp refusal instantly freezes the warming atmosphere. "Yeon is coming with me," Haein declares firmly, her eyes blazing with determination. "This time, I'll prove I'm telling the truth." She apologizes hastily to the boss, then commands Yeon, "Follow me." There's an undeniable determination in her urgency that brooks no refusal. Haein grabs Yeon's hoodie, dragging the bewildered boy away, leaving the boss alone at the corner, watching them fade into the distance in shock. As the noise fades, the boss stands alone on the empty street, sighing, looks like I'll just have a beer tonight to drown my sorrows. Sudden shift. A dragon roars on the screen as a hero clashes with a powerful boss in a flurry of blades and light intense action. You died. As the screen fades to black, the figure on the sofa throws down the controller in despair, cursing the game's insane difficulty. Just as rage peaks, the doorbell rings abruptly. Who is it at this hour? He turns his head, annoyed and confused. The door swings open, and before he can react, Heian shouts at the long-haired man, "Uncle, I have something to ask you." "I'm your niece, right?" Heian points frantically at Yeon, shouting, "This guy keeps thinking you're my boyfriend." "Huh? Boyfriend?" The uncle pauses, then face bombs with an awkward chuckle. "That misunderstanding is ridiculous, haha." Under the studio's spotlight, Heian teases her uncle about looking like a sugar daddy, while he crosses his arms, desperately defending his age in a burst of playful banter. Flashback to the misunderstanding. The uncle casually drapes his arm around Heian, while from the shadows, a sharp gaze locks onto them, filling the air with a scent of jealousy and unease. It was Yeon watching from the dark. Standing in the cold wind, his gaze shifts from gentle to heavy complexity, as a wave of internal turmoil plunges him into silence. Suddenly, the uncle spins around, approaching Yeon with an intimidating grin. He points a finger straight at him, teasingly demanding, "Who are you?" Heian's boyfriend? Leaving Yeon sweating in panic. Yeon stammers out flimsy excuses, while a blushing Heian yells at her uncle to stop being weird. The uncle simply waves it off, abruptly ending the chaotic farce. As the chaos settles, reality sets in. The uncle points out that public transport has stopped. Yeon looks distressed, and even Heian, despite her calm facade, hides a flicker of worry. Stranded on the cold streets, the trio faces a dilemma. Taxes are too expensive, and walking is impossible. The weight of financial stress and exhaustion hangs over Yeon like the night sky. Just as hopelessness sets in, the uncle gives a thumbs up with a reliable grin. "Wait here, I'll drive you both home," he declares, instantly dispelling the chill of the night. Heian skeptically points out he has no car, but the uncle crosses his arms with a confident, mysterious smirk. "I'll borrow one. I have connections around here." A friend readily agrees to lend a car, and the uncle departs. Left alone on the dim street corner, the atmosphere shifts from chaotic to awkwardly quiet, a delicate silence settling between them. Heian looks at Yeon apologetically. "Sorry, my uncle is just stubborn." Yeon closes his eyes and shakes his head gently. "No, I'm grateful." An unspoken understanding flows between them. But as silence returns, Yeon lowers his head, consumed by self-loathing. He feels pathetic for getting jealous when he's not even her boyfriend, struggling with his own insecurity. Trying to break the suffocating awkwardness, Yeon tentatively speaks up. "It's still a bit chilly, isn't it?" Heian watches him quietly, her gaze complex, as if waiting for something more. Ignoring the small talk, Heian suddenly drops a direct invitation. "So, shall we reconcile?" Her unexpected initiative leaves Yeon frozen in surprise. Seeing his shock, Heian's eyes soften with sincerity. "I want to talk about fun stuff like before. I just want to go home." It is a raw plea, stripping away all her defenses. Hearing this, Yeon's heart trembles. An image of them laughing together in a warm room floods his mind. It is exactly what he desires most in this moment. A vision of the future flashes by, sitting side by side in a ramen shop, shoulders touching, sharing hot food, a sweetness so close they can almost hear each other's heartbeats. Back in the snowy reality, Heian looks at the flustered Yeon and asks, with a mix of anticipation and rebuke, "What are you doing? Aren't you going to hold my hand?" Yeon's face turns crimson instantly. In his panic, Yeon shakes her hand like he's sealing a business deal, shouting, "Let's make peace." His clumsy attempt to hide his shyness makes Heian want to laugh, but only strengthens her resolve. After the joke, their hands finally clasp gently. Heian lowers her head, whispering, "Sorry, I doubted you too, but I really want that good feeling back." In that moment, all barriers melt away in the warmth of their touch. Heian smiles and pulls Yuan's hand close, marveling at its size before pressing her palm against his. Yuan's heart skips a beat, his cheeks flushing at the sudden warmth of her touch, leaving him speechless. Under the warm glow, their hands press together. Heian teases him about playing guitar with such big hands, while Yuan laughs off her piano logic, a shared musical understanding flowing between them. Watching Heian confidently brag about her octave reach, Yuan can't hide the smile in his eyes. Though he calls it crazy, his heart melts at her playful charm, his gaze softening. Heian's gaze softens as she recalls childhood melodies. When Yuan asks if they should go inside, she suggests just sitting there, seemingly wanting to stretch this moment of solitude a little longer. Leaning against the door to wait, Yuan tentatively asks about her uncle. Learning he owns the studio, his curiosity about her world deepens, their conversation laced with tentative care. Stepping inside, the soft purple lighting creates an intimate atmosphere. Heian casually tells him to relax, while Yuan holds his breath, scanning the dumbbells and laptop as if entering her secret sanctuary. Band posters and an electric guitar in the corner silently speak of the owner's past. Lying on the bed, Yuan's mind races, trying to piece together the image of Heian's musician uncle, his emotions complex and subtle. Sinking into the beanbag, Yuan spots an enviable gaming console. Realizing Heian must come here often, a complex mix of jealousy and admiration bubbles up in his chest at her familiarity with this place. His mind drifting, Yuan blushes, imagining a young Heian in school uniform. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Heian stares perplexed at the piled-up takeout, reality contrasting sharply with a sweet daydream. "Here." Heian's voice breaks his trance as she hands him a drink. She sits down next to him, instantly closing the distance and making the air feel suddenly thin, Yuan's fingers stiffening. Shoulders nearly touching, a sweating Yuan stammers, asking why she's so close. Heian calmly points to the single beanbag, her logical excuse leaving him no room to argue, yet sending his heart racing. Yuan tries to move to the floor, but Heian stops him. Sipping her drink, her gaze is calm but commanding. "Stay still." It's more comfortable leaning shoulder to shoulder. Her words strike him like electricity. With no escape, Yuan sits stiffly, making awkward small talk about the old beanbag stuffing. Side by side in the cramped space, their heartbeats seem louder than their stumbling conversation. Heian explains this is how she always sits with her uncle. Yuan nods along, sipping his drink to hide his wandering eyes, secretly analyzing the intimacy behind her words, while trying to calm his racing pulse. Realizing she's always leading, Yuan feels a surge of resolve. Knowing he caused this situation, he decides to break the strange tension and perhaps move closer. Heian, sensing the shift, tilts her head in confusion. Just as Heian leans in, Yuan's courage crumbles. In a panic, he blurts out a clumsy comment about how close she is with her uncle, desperately trying to mask his inner chaos with an exaggerated smile. Surprisingly, Heian takes it seriously. Her eyes soften as she recalls how her uncle's guitar and movie nights filled the void of her lonely childhood, revealing a tender side of herself to Yuan. She leans comfortably against his shoulder, joking about her uncle aging. Filled with her trust, Yuan turns suddenly, his gaze intense as he calls out her name, "Heian." Heian pauses, softly noting that her uncle calls her that too. But Yuan stares intently, the sweat on his brow betraying his nerves. He's not just talking about her uncle anymore, he wants something exclusive. "I want to call you that too." Yuan finally summons the courage, attempting to cross the line of polite formality. Heian grips her bottle, cheeks flushing crimson as she lowers her head in flustered shyness. The atmosphere stiffens. Yuan pushes back, demanding agency and questioning why her will always prevails. Heian lowers her gaze, eyes glistening with suppressed tears. Confused by his puppy-like whining, Heian's tension melts into amusement. She sighs, offering a compromise while firmly setting her boundaries. Given permission, Yuan's eyes light up. He wastes no time, leaning in and chanting her name repeatedly, leaving Heian frowning in resignation. Overwhelmed by the barrage of her name, Heian blushes furiously. She tries to stop him, but Yuan plays innocent, citing her own rules. Teased by his playful smirk, Heian curls up. Though she calls it childish, her eyes betray a hidden smile and the warmth of being adored. The tables turn. Heian smirks and softly whispers Yunwoo repeatedly, her gentle voice instantly turning Yuan's confidence into flustered panic. Heart racing, Yuan stammers a question. Heian simply blinks innocently, her soft "don't you like it" completely shattering his defenses. Seeing him curled up and blushing in denial, Heian laughs in triumph. Her sweet revenge forces him to feel the same embarrassment and flutter she did. Just his name, yet his blood boils. Yuan clutches his knees, questioning his sanity amidst the deafening heartbeat, terrified by this uncontrollable excitement. After the playfulness, silence falls. Heian lowers her gaze, their touching fingertips conveying a silent warmth that deepens the quiet intimacy. A warning echoes in her mind. The human heart is an abyss. Diving in blindly only leads to injury. Those cold words remain a thorn in her heart. To avoid pain, she lowered expectations and built walls. Past betrayal taught her that excessive trust only distorts reality and invites deeper suffering. Logic resists, but her defenses crumble tonight. Loneliness screams from her soul as she curls in the light, craving a reckless moment of confession. She finally breaks the silence. Watching Yuan's nervous profile, Heian's voice trembles as she unveils the old scar. "I was betrayed before." The heavy words hang in the air. Yuan's pupils constrict in disbelief. Heian remains heartbreakingly calm, her eyes dead, as if telling a stranger story. In the dim locker room, the air stagnates. The sudden truth strikes Yuan hard. He looks at the silent girl, unsure how to soothe such heavy sorrow. Flashback to a sunny afternoon. Suddenly filmed while practicing, she panics. No makeup, unprepared, she tries to dodge the abrupt recording session. Pressured to sing a popular hit for views, Heian frowns. Her panic shifts to defiance. She refuses to compromise her taste just to please the crowd. Despite protesting, she picks a compromise. Taking a deep breath, her fingers find the strings, and in that moment, she reclaims her rhythm. As the melody starts, distractions fade. A confident smile curves her lips as she immerses herself in the guitar's resonance, shining in her truest form. Fingers dance on strings, lost in the melody's world, until the weight of watching eyes pricks her skin like needles, piercing her sense of safety. The floodgates of memory creak open at his question. Facing his concerned gaze, she takes a breath to touch the long-sealed pain. "Back then," her voice cracks, body curling inward as if seeking even a shred of warmth from a high school memory that only seemed bright. Fingers interlace tightly, unspeakable past choking her throat, while a piercing gaze from deep memory still sends suffocating shivers down her spine. Just as she begins to drown, his gentle voice offers a lifeline. "You don't have to explain the details. I'm right here with you." Thoughts drift back to that corridor, bathed in sunlight, where two figures were once her first anchor in a strange world. It all looked so perfect. They gathered around her music, their words of encouragement making her naively believe she had found true guardians for her dreams. But the scene distorts, the warm filter shatters, kind smiles morph into grotesque mockery in the shadows, revealing the cruel truth. Standing at the blood-red classroom door, she is an island abandoned by the world, ears ringing with the deafening sound of isolation. The tablet's glow bites with cold. Those who call themselves friends weave a web of malice with venomous words behind her back, trapping her inside. While comments flood in like a tide dash. "Fake!" "Trash!" each word a dagger to the heart as she buries her face in the crumbling ruins of her mind. "I was a failure." Back in reality, the shadow still clings to her, while the shock in his eyes melts into silent yet intense heartache. Dark self-doubt grows, like weeds. Is this warmth also a lie? Until the heat of his fingertips gently lands on her arm, breaking the nightmare. "That is why." She looks up, eyes shimmering with tears and resolve. I'm terrified to admit that I am long afternoon, terrified of bleeding again. Hands clasped tight, no more running. Instead of recoiling, he thanks her for the trust, his steadiness filling the long-standing void in her heart. Under dim lights, he whispers, time spent with you is what matters. This unconditional acceptance heals more than any praise ever could. Gazing into his sincere eyes, her heart skips a beat, cheeks burning, that trembling. Yeonwoo holds 1,000 unspoken words. Yet, this honesty acts as a key, accidentally unlocking his own sealed memories. Black and white pain instantly overlapping with reality, striking his heart. Seeing her shattered and pieced back together, he sees his past self, the unspeakable loneliness hidden within seemingly normal days under the sun. But now, all shadows are chased away by this smile. No words needed. Two wounded hearts finally find their perfect resonance. Haein rests her chin on her hand, teasing with a mischievous grin. Yeonwoo SSI, your face gives everything away. Flustered, Yeon averts his gaze, cheeks burning. Really? I thought I had a poker face. Yeon mutters in disbelief, recalling how his boss often called him detached, sparking a moment of self-doubt. Want to test it out? Haein leans in, her finger lightly grazing his chest. The air thickens, and Yeon holds his breath, his heart pounding like a drum. Her purple eyes lock onto his, the distance closing until their breaths mingle. Yeon's mind goes blank, managing only a meaningless stammer under the intense pressure. Danger? Too close. As he tries to pull back, his arm brushes against something soft Haein's chest. Yeon's sanity snaps instantly, his world turning a shade of panic pink. He spins around and covers his face, ears burning with shame, while Haein's teasing voice comes from behind. Oh, why turn away? I can't continue like this. Haein moves to tease him again, but her gaze accidentally falls on his lap. Her eyes widen in shock, and her face instantly flushes a deep beet red. Ah! Wait! I think Uncle is here. Stuttering a clumsy excuse, Haein scrambles out of the room in a panic, leaving a bewildered Yeon behind. Hiding outside, Haein clutches her burning cheeks. Recalling what she just saw, a smile creeps onto her lips. Yeonwoo SSI, you really are honest. Back in the room, alone, Yeon finally snaps out of the haze of intimacy and chaos, but then it hits him. Wait, what just happened? In that split second, he feels the reaction below his waist. A thunderbolt of realization strikes his brain. The silence is deafening as shame washes over him. I'm doomed! And I'm wearing loose pants. Yeon curls up on the floor in a silent scream, the sheer humiliation making him want to disappear into the ground. Meanwhile, Haein leans against a wall in the corner, heart still racing, blushing furiously as she mutters. We only touched arms. Was the reaction really that intense? Night falls, and a white SUV speeds along the city highway, the roar of the engine attempting to drown out the suffocating awkwardness from before. The tension inside the car is palpable. Yeon and Haein stare silently out the windows until the uncle finally breaks the ice. Why so quiet? Did you two fight again? Haein hastily denies it, quickly changing the subject to the borrowed car. The uncle chimes in. We really should rent a proper car for the rock festival. By the way, you're Haein's friend, Yeonwoo, right? The uncle glances at the nervous boy in the rearview mirror. Got any plans for this summer? Hearing Yeon is free, the uncle cheerfully extends an invitation. Then come with us to the rock festival. I've got free passes. It'd be a waste not to go. Haein turns to him, the awkwardness in her eyes replaced by anticipation for the summer. Camping, drinks, partying. I plan to enjoy it to the fullest. Come with us. The mention of music instantly dissolves their reserve. They bicker passionately over the playlist, finally finding perfect harmony in their shared love for Green Sunset. Reality weighs heavy as the laughter fades. Yeon looks down, anxiety about his job hunt clouding his face, convinced summer is a luxury he can't afford. But Haein turns, cutting through the gloom. Her gaze softens, holding a quiet determination. Ignoring the obstacles, Heian smiles with genuine anticipation, whispering a wish to share that electric summer festival with him, no matter what.